Chapter 1141. Takashita Junichiro's invitation made Xiao Bei very happy. When he heard him mention the construction of the swimming pool, he immediately said, There seems to be a problem. Takashita Junichiro, who was looking forward to it, almost choked when he heard Xiao Bei's words. He tried his best to suppress his desire and not let it show. He asked, There's a problem? Yes. As for what the problem is, we need to have a meeting to discuss it. Xiao Bei sat up straight in the stands and tried his best to look at the swimming pool. What meeting? Takashita Junichiro felt that Xiao Bei was not normal. It was as if he was hiding something. What meeting? Yes, what you asked is exactly what we need to discuss. There are 3 points in the meeting. First, what kind of meeting we are having. Second, why we are having this meeting. Third, how to hold this meeting. You know, right? Xiao Bei tried his best not to blink as he spoke. Takashita Junichiro. Look, the 5 kilometers swimming preliminaries are about to begin. You guys watch first. We'll excuse ourselves for a moment and go to the meeting. Xiao Bei stretched out his little finger and pointed at the swimming pool. He tried to make his smile as sincere as possible before getting up and leaving. Takashita Junichiro was confused. Wei Wei nodded, indicating that she understood. She muttered, There's a preliminaries for the 5 kilometers swimming? The group of children left the stands and found a gymnasium's lounge. Xiao Bei let out a long breath. I was almost exposed. Zhang Feng, did you pull me from behind? Zhang Feng nodded vigorously. He has bad intentions. He wants to steal our technology. We'll build it and leave it to them in the end. Didn't Brother's story say that if you can build something for the competition outside, you usually have to give them money? This is a good opportunity to promote us. Xiao Bei tried to put the matter into the story. In the story, they have their own technology. Moreover, there are others who can spend money to buy the product. Even if the Japanese have the money to buy the product, we can't sell it to them, right? Zhang Feng reminded. The other children nodded at the same time, including Pan Er and her sister. As for whether they understood or not, it was not important. Oh, wow, the Japanese have such a bad conscience. They almost fooled me. They clearly underestimated my diplomatic wisdom and went too far. I treated them like humans, but they actually played me like a monkey. We have to think of a plan. If we don't teach them a lesson, they won't know how many eyes we have. Xiao Bei put his hands on his waist, feeling extremely indignant. All the children deeply agreed. Xiao Bei had been schemed against in diplomacy, so it was the same as them being bullied. If their group of brothers and sisters couldn't beat others in their field of expertise, wouldn't that mean that the others were even more useless? Thus, the group of children began to discuss this matter. Directly rejecting them was the simplest way, but the children felt that this was not the style of the Zhang family and Wang family, and would weaken the reputation of their older brother and sister. Since the Japanese wanted to scheme against him, then he would play a scheme within a scheme, a chain of schemes, and beat them at their own game, so as to relieve the hatred in his heart. Xiao Yuan, what's the most brilliant of the 36 stratagems? After discussing with his brothers and sisters, Xiao Bei got a general plan and turned to ask Wang Xiaoyuan. Leave first, Xiao Yuan answered. You can only run when others chase after you. Would the Japanese dare to chase after you? Change it. Xiao Bei was dissatisfied. That's the first stratagem of the defeat stratagem, the beauty trap. The beauty must be beautiful, to the extent that she can topple a city with one look, and then topple a country with another. Once this stratagem is used, the other party usually ends up with the destruction of the country, but I can't bear to send you away. After you leave, who will bully me? As Xiao Yuan spoke, he saw that Xiao Bei's expression was not good, so he quickly added a few more words. Let's get down to business. Xiao Hai saw that Xiao Yuan was speaking glibly to his sister, so he couldn't take it anymore. That's loosening the reins in order to grasp them better, creating something out of nothing, pulling the ladder out of the house, and turning the guest into the host. We have to cooperate with brother and sister's plan. Xiao Yuan, who had a photographic memory, opened his mouth and listed 4 stratagems. However, he didn't get the admiring gazes of the other children around his age. All the brothers and sisters nodded normally, indicating that they wanted him to talk about the details. It seemed that if he couldn't say it, others would show a surprised expression. They were too familiar with each other, and sometimes it was a kind of sorrow. Thus, the 9 older children and the 2 who joined in the fun started to whisper together again. 2 hours later, the hungry Japanese finally saw the officials in charge of receiving them again, and the buffet-style lunch also began. Takeshita Junichiro and the others were not in the mood to eat, so they randomly picked up some food from the broken plates. Their eyes were always on Xiao Bei, wanting to know the results of the construction assistance for the games. They were not stupid, and they knew very well what Xiao Bei was going to discuss in the meeting when he went back. It definitely had nothing to do with the messy, what kind of meeting was going to be held, why was this meeting being held, and so on. It's not easy to fool children nowadays, Yamamoto said with emotion. You couldn't fool children in the past either, Yamamoto said. Time, luck, and fate. Don't mention it, don't mention it. As Yamamoto spoke, he saw that Xiao Bei and the others each chose 2 vegetarian dishes, 2 meat dishes, a bowl of soup, and a fruit plate. After finding a place to sit, he walked over. Takeshita Junichiro sat opposite Xiao Bei and ate 2 mouthfuls of food without any mood. Seeing that Xiao Bei also stopped eating at the right time, he quickly asked, "How was the meeting?" Yes, it was to discuss going to Japan to provide technical support for the games, but there was a problem, Xiao Bei said with a regretful expression. What's the problem? Takeshita Junichiro asked anxiously. Regarding technical personnel, you know that Tang Dynasty needs many skilled craftsmen to do things. It's not worth it to suddenly go to Japan and waste a lot of time for a games. In addition, there are many precious materials to use, so the cost is too high. After Xiao Bei finished speaking, he continued eating, so Takeshita Junichiro, who wanted to speak, could only wait for Xiao Bei to stop eating again. It was not until he finished half of the food that Xiao Bei drank a mouthful of soup and stopped. He looked at Takeshita Junichiro and asked, "Do you have any good ideas?" Takeshita Junichiro, who did not expect to be questioned, was stunned. After thinking hard for a while, he suggested, "I think the first problem is easy to solve. The technical personnel are not always in charge of the construction of the games. When they are on the road, they can still think about what they like. Even if they come to Japan, we can provide them with a very good place to do their research." That's right. Yamamoto interrupted, "In terms of cost, Japan is willing to take out anything we have, as long as you like it." Really? Then there's no problem. You can choose a time, and we will arrange for the personnel. However, the previous matter has to be resolved first. Xiao Bei agreed readily. Takeshita Junichiro asked in surprise, "What previous matter?" "One is to send war criminals to Tang Dynasty for us to educate, and the other is to cede land as reparations." What? Have you forgotten? You have already forgotten the harm that Japan has caused to the people of Tang Dynasty so quickly? Many people's wounds have not healed. Even if the injuries on the body are healed, there will still be scars left. There is no need to talk about the trauma in the heart. Xiao Bei stared at him, as if he was holding his heart. He felt as if he had angina. Takeshita Junichiro hurriedly nodded. I remember. I never dare to forget. Yes. Send the people over and compensate you with the land. We will also compensate you with money, as well as the seeds and abalones that you provided. We will think of a way to rush it and complete it as soon as possible. Very good. Let's eat. Don't waste. Although the buffet provided by the stadium doesn't require you to spend money, it is precisely because it is a buffet that the guests need to cherish the food. Take as much as you want. If it's not enough, the kitchen will prepare more. Xiao Bei pointed at the plates in front of Takeshita Junichiro and the other 2. There was still a lot of food that had not been eaten. Takeshita Junichiro and the other 2 were not in the mood to eat. Their minds were filled with the thought of tricking Tang Dynasty's technicians to Japan. When they arrived in Japan, no matter how much they had to pay, they had to find a way to make the technicians stay. If they could not make them stay in Japan in the end, they had to at least let the technicians stay in Japan for a while. Looking at the food in front of them, the three were immediately worried. There were many dishes that they did not like to eat. The buffet I saw a few days ago was not eaten like this. Takeshita Junichiro, who really did not want to eat, said to Xiao Bei. "Oh, where did you see it? How did they eat it?" Xiao Bei was curious. "Chuanzhou. When I passed by Chuanzhou on my way from Japan, the officials of Chuanzhou held a banquet in Army Officer Chao's house. It was a buffet. The dishes were placed on a very long table that was pieced together, the kind that was half a circle. Then, they filled glasses with wine and drank while chatting with others. However, no one touched their chopsticks to eat. There were no chopsticks, only knives and forks. One of their people who participated in the banquet told me that it was a very embarrassing thing to eat under such circumstances. Patrol Inspector Zhang, what do you think?" Takeshita Junichiro could only say this to Xiao Bei because he did not want to eat. "Oh, very good. That's something that was mentioned in my family's storybook. I used to treat some people to that kind of buffet, but I didn't expect that someone would learn it and even learn it to this extent. Chuanzhou's Army Officer Chao, right? Not bad. Thank you. Let's eat." After eating, there is still a competition in the afternoon. Xiao Bei laughed sinisterly. Takeshita Junichiro felt his stomach cramp and his heart clench. He knew that he had accidentally sold out the officials of Chuanzhou. "Okay." Takeshita Junichiro agreed and began to stuff food into his mouth. In his heart, he mourned for Chuanzhou's Army Officer Chao. There was no need to think too much. He was definitely going to die. Not to mention that he was just an army officer. Even if he suddenly became a provincial governor, it would be useless. There was no need to mention any backing. When he finally finished eating the food on his plate, Takeshita Junichiro rubbed his stomach and looked around. He found that everyone else had also finished their food. They seemed to be very self-aware. Only Pan-er and her sister had not finished eating. However, they could take the leftover fruits to the stands to eat. Just like that, a month passed quietly by in the various competitions between the Japanese and the Tang Empire. There was really nothing to compare. Moreover, the Japanese war criminals that were sent over by the Tang Empire's gunboats had also arrived at Jili Prefecture. Takeshita Junichiro and his group decided to temporarily go over and take a look. Then, they would prepare the abalones. When they went to Japan together for the competition, it would be time to confirm the matter of ceding territory. No matter what, Japan had temporarily avoided the threat of war. Takeshita Junichiro and his group were very happy. After sending the Japanese away, Xiao Bei had to receive the people from the southwest who had just arrived. "Sigh, is it so easy to be a diplomat? I always say things that don't mean. The psychological pressure is very great." Xiao Bei pretended to sigh sadly. Then, he excitedly waved his hand and led his people to the dock. Chapter 1142. When receiving the people from the southwestern tribes, Xiao Bei and his men appeared to be very relaxed. They pretended to be kind and friendly, which was 100 times better than their attitude towards the Japanese. Only Pan-er and her brother would always show malice. In the eyes of adults, this was just a child's mischievous behavior. After arranging for the tribesmen, who deliberately wore gorgeous clothes but always acted like rustic people, to enter Ocean Cloud Restaurant, Xiao Bei returned to where the royal carriage was at night. He could no longer hold back the hatred in his heart and muttered, "That's right. Damn it, I want to hook them all up with hooks and throw them into the sea to catch sharks. They're even more detestable than the man-eaters and the Japanese. The man-eaters are a result of strategic intentions, while the Japanese are a result of geographical limitations. I can understand why they're plotting against the Great Tang, but the most disgusting thing is that they're just a bunch of small tribesmen playing the drums and banners on the sidelines. They are just a bunch of wolf cubs who have abandoned their dignity and credibility. No, they are worse than wolves. At least dogs are trained from wolves. If I still have the slightest bit of kindness to them in the future, my surname will not be Wang." Hearing Xiaobei's angry words, everyone was stunned. Li Longji even recalled the various things that happened during the day reported by the intelligence personnel. It seemed that the people from the southwestern tribes got along well with Xiaobei. What was wrong with Xiaobei? Xiao Yuan said, "Xiaobei, your surname is Zhang. My mother's surname is Wang. Now others call her the Jiang Wang clan." "Well, I know what you mean. Wait for me to grow up." "Ha, ha, ha, Xiaobei, I suddenly thought of a very important thing. That is to follow your footsteps, listen to your voice, support your will, and understand your feelings. In fact, I also want to hook them up to catch sharks." "Really?" Xiao Yuan did not wait for Xiaobei to finish his words and hurriedly expressed himself. He did not feel that it was shameful for him to flatter a girl. Xiao Yuan, you will be a man in the future. Don't yield to others. Stick out your chest." Wu Huifei looked at Xiao Yuan dotingly and said. She thought highly of Xiao Yuan, who had a photographic memory, but her son did not have this ability. Xiao Yuan was finally embarrassed and muttered in a low voice, "Actually, I'm not really afraid of her. I just feel that I should spoil her a little, like how an older brother treats his older sister." No matter how low Xiao Yuan's voice was, the people around heard it. Zhang Xiaobao glared at Xiao Yuan, then turned to Wang Wan and said, "Did you see that? Did I teach my child the wrong things? Is a man who bows his head to a woman a good man?" "No." Wang Wan smiled and said, "Only a man who bullies his wife is a hero." A man's greatness is highlighted in his family. Even if he is a dog outside, he has to shout at his wife and children at home. You're talking about Japanese men. Please don't compare me with them. Although Japanese men are also human, it seems that we need to change our living environment. Zhang Xiaobao said with a serious expression. Wang Wan was confused by his jumping words and asked in surprise, "What does it have to do with living environment?" "I'm not worried about Xiao Yuan and Xiaobei. Both of them are very lively. Xiao Hai and Xiao Zhu only know how to study mathematics, and the other only knows how to draw. Both of them are too dull. Do you think they have a common language?" Zhang Xiaobao said worriedly. "There should be, right? For example, after the computer is made, drawing itself is a digital simulation. You're saying that the environment determines one's personality. Do you want to change their personalities? If not, this is the bad thing about the family. The adults of both sides have to worry about it, and it's easy to be criticized by others." Wang Wan looked at Xiao Hai and Xiao Zhu, who were standing beside Li Longji and Xiaobei, who were talking to Li Longji. "So what if their family? In Dream of the Red Chamber, they're all close relatives. Which one of them isn't smart? Look at our Emperor Xuanzong. His family has done this many times. Wu Huifei's surname is Wu, right? Wu Meinyong's surname is Wu, right? Then they... How can you talk nonsense like that? He's not dead yet." "What Xuanzong? Listen to what Xiaobei has to say." Wang Wan interrupted Zhang Xiaobao's words. She looked around and saw that no one had heard what she had said. She felt a little relieved. Zhang Xiaobao yawned and said, "What else could it be? It's nothing more than saying insincere words during the day and wearing a hypocritical mask. She feels uncomfortable in her heart. Diplomacy is like this. Not everyone is suitable to be a diplomat. In addition to the support of national strength, you also have to show your personal charm. In the same country, different diplomats have absolutely different effects. Don't be fooled by Xiaobei's complaints now. If you really don't let her do this, she will feel even more uncomfortable. Nan Zhao, I'm also very annoyed with them. If they have nothing to do, they should just stay there. Why are they joining in the fun? If it weren't to complete the strategic deployment, I would have directly rejected them." Zhang Xiaobao also complained. Xiaobei finally vented the anger in her heart toward Li Longji and the others. She took a deep breath and said, "I'm fine. Tomorrow, I will continue to welcome them with a smile. I request that when we occupy their place, I will still be the one to interact with them. Today they actually told me that because we helped them for free, they decided to maintain the peace of this period." "Aren't they threatening me?" Pa. If it weren't for brother and sister wanting to beat Duosha first, I would have used money to smash them to death. Ha ha ha. Yo yo yo, look at how angry our Xiaobei is. She must have suffered a great grievance. Come, let Uncle Emperor hug you. Li Longji laughed and hugged Xiaobei to comfort her. It's only me. If it was anyone else, they would have gone crazy from anger. They look dark and skinny, but they dare to put on a show in front of me. Let's not talk about them, let's not talk about them. I don't care about their attitude. According to sister, it's what? Xiao Yuan. Xiaobei complained again and turned to look at Xiao Yuan. Not only did Xiao Yuan have to have a photographic memory, she also had to have a telepathic connection. After thinking for a bit, she said, "It's the wind that blows away the bamboo, the wind that blows away the bamboo leaves no sound. The wild goose crossing the cold pond, the wild goose leaving the pond without leaving a shadow. But I remember you once said that the wild goose leaves its sound, and the man leaves his name. I also said that I came, I saw it, I conquered it. Since I conquered it, how dare you refute me?" Xiaobei always had something to say. Li Longji was confused. He couldn't think of what Xiao Bao and Cuckoo usually taught their younger siblings. It felt very profound, but was it suitable for children to say it? All right, stop arguing. It's such a mess. Uncle Emperor doesn't understand. Prepare to eat, then let your brother and sister tell you a story. Just tell them that I'm here and I've conquered something. It sounds very arrogant. Li Longji persuaded the two children and glanced at Gao Lisher. Dinner began. The next day, Xiaobei led his team and amiably smiled as they discussed construction with the Southwest Zhao. In truth, it would have been better for the adults to handle this matter, but Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan refused to receive them, expressing their attitude that they were acting like children. But they were not short on actual benefits. They were helping to build factories in the Southwest, providing food for the ordinary people, and luxuries for the local upper class. All of this required the great Tang to pay for. This is the sorrow of relations between countries. Fortunately, there are no other countries that can contend against my great Tang in terms of economy and military, or else we would have to pay an even greater price. It's just that our economy is not strong enough to wage war everywhere. After sending off the people from the Southwest, Zhang Xiaobao spent the night chatting with Wang Wan. To be more precise, it's that our industrial base is not strong enough. Our country can supply the food needed for war, and transportation is no problem. It's just that we don't have enough weapons and ammunition. We can't just use sabers and spears like we used to. Once winter is over, we can start next year. Wang Wan looked at the sky that was still as bright as day and said longingly, Chapter 1143. The sound of the waves crashing on the beach was monotonous and constant. All kinds of seabirds were still flying tirelessly in the sky above the port. Ships of goods from overseas were moved back and forth and then sent to various places. The fishermen who raised fish near the shore paddled out to have a look every day. When they saw dead fish and shrimps, they immediately went to the local medical center nervously and described the tragic situation of the dead fish and shrimps to the professional. It was not until the person in charge of the farming showed an impatient look that the fisherman presented the dead fish and shrimps to him. They watched as the person cut the fish and shrimps into pieces and put them under strange objects to look at. Only then did they feel a little relieved. The big fishing boats in the distant sea were docked at the shore specially provided for them. The fish that had been gutted and salted were placed on the ground at the port at the fastest speed to be sorted. The rotten fish were picked out and put aside to wait for further processing. The fish that were not salted enough were salted again. Then, they were exposed to the sun or taken to a special ventilated room to be dried in the shade. Amidst the fishy smell, the dried salted fish and shrimps were sent to the distribution center and sent to the places where fish and salt were scarce in Tang. As for whether they were steamed or fried, it was not the fishermen's concern. The railway at the cargo port had been laid. After the great improvement in efficiency, some of the dock porters lost their jobs. They would go to the vocational school in the state capital to learn new survival skills. For 100 days, they would receive an additional government subsidy that was almost the same as the porter's job. After that, they would be assigned to a designated position by the government. Within a month, if they still could not adapt to the new job, they would be sent back to the school to study again. The subsidy for 3 months would be reduced by half. At the same time, the official who arranged for them to study specific technical subjects would resign. Su Mingyang, the provincial governor of Luzhou, who caused all the karma, was still working at the port as his scribe, recording the number of working people. Occasionally, he would chat with the locals. The sea breeze and the sun left the traces of time on his face. His skin was no longer fair, but it made him feel stronger. Compared to the days before, he felt that his life now was much more fulfilling. It was unknown when Su Mingyang had become passionate about writing down the days. He wrote down his daily losses, gains, and sentiments on paper. No matter how busy he was during the day, he would never get tired of it when he returned to the Fu at night. There was a period of time when he thought that he was noble, and he even said the same to his wife and concubines. It wasn't until one day, when he was on holiday and drank too much wine. After strolling around his wives and concubines and other women, he finally expressed his motivation to write about the days. Xiaobei promised him that she was willing to print what he wrote into a book. She had even thought of the book's title. It would be called The Spring and Autumn of a Provincial Governor's Heart. As for why it wasn't The Winter and Summer of a Provincial Governor's Heart, it was because when he asked, Xiaoyuan said that history didn't have winter, summer, or warring states. There was only spring and autumn. Damn, Governor Su was cursing in his heart. He thought that Sun Mo was writing about the 4 seasons. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have asked. He would have been looked down upon by Sun Mo. What comforted his heart was that Xiaobei promised to first print 200,000 copies. He would sell each copy to the Tang officials and give him 200 copper coins. That was 40,000 strings of coins. If he didn't commit corruption or take bribes, it would be difficult to earn this amount of money just by being an official. If he could commit corruption and take bribes, then forget it. It was too dangerous. Xiaobei said that he would first sell 20,000 copies of his book to the military officer in Quanzhou. Because he was too rich, he actually threw away countless food at a banquet. At that moment, Su Mingyang's heart was balanced. He was very grateful to the unborn children of the Zhong family and Wang family. If they didn't exist, perhaps the Tang patrol's knife would have fallen on his head. Now, he had a chance to change. For the military officer in Quanzhou, if he didn't get the news in advance and ask for leave to come and ask for punishment, when the 4 little guys came to the mortal world, it would be the beginning of his hell. Number 9. Stop. Slowly put down the box you are carrying. Find someone to carry it with you. If I find that you are carrying more things, I will deduct your wages for today. Su Mingyang, who was thinking about what to write at night, was awakened by the actions of a stevedore at the exit in front of him. He raised his eyelids and said with an awkward smile, "It's not heavy." Number 9 put down the box as he was told. He wiped the sweat on his forehead and replied with a silly smile, "If it's not heavy, then why are your legs shaking? Do you think this official is illiterate?" The words on the box say, "One box of ores needs to be inspected overseas." It seems that you are not satisfied with the life in the night school. It's my fault. After a month, I will personally test you on the first 150 words of the children's initiation. If you can't write one word, come to my house after work. I will personally teach you. Stay away from me, you perverted dog. Governor Su, who was talking to the stevedore number 9, raised his foot and kicked away a male dog that used his leg as an outlet for physiological needs. He then continued to talk to number 9. It settled. "Whose dog is this?" "Sir, it's a rescue dog," number 9 said with a sad face. Obviously, he didn't want to learn. "Have it change positions. The people in the water who need to be saved can't wait for it to finish shaking. When it snows, it'll be killed and eaten. It's very nutritious." Su Mingyang glared at the dog and said, "Snowing? Fine, sir, you are so kind. Stupid dog, you still dare to come over. Be careful. I'll send you to the north of the Yellow River. It really snows there. Number 9 cursed at the shameless dog. He then called another stevedore to pick up the box and leave. Wei Wei Su Ming Yang shook his head and continued to record the work of the stevedore. As for that dog, he admitted that his family's chef had never made dog meat that wasn't disgusting. Perhaps it can be given to Zhang Xiaobao. He has done research on this. Su Ming Yang's thoughts flew again and he muttered to himself. Thank you for the compliment. I can indeed make dog meat very delicious, but I don't like to eat dog meat. The process and seasoning are too much. As long as there are other things, I will try my best not to eat dog. Sir Su, are you used to life at the docks? Su Ming Yang had just finished muttering when a strange yet familiar voice rang out behind him. It was strange because this voice didn't often appear by his ear. It was familiar because even if this voice appeared once, he would firmly remember it because it belonged to Zhang Xiaobao, a person who killed without spilling blood. Lord Zhang. Su Ming Yang turned his head and said with a trembling voice, Don't call me that. I'm not my adoptive father. Some people call me Master Gao. I'm just the regional governor of the Bohai Commander-in-Chief's office. We're both third-rank officials, so there's no need to distinguish between high and low. Zhang Xiaobao, who had brought Wang Wan here for a stroll, said sincerely. However, his words always sounded very hypocritical in the ears of others. Su Ming Yang was one of those who felt hypocritical. He stood up and tried his best to make his smile more natural. He nodded at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan respectively and said, I wonder what brings you here to the docks, Deputy Governor Zhang and Deputy Governor Wang? As soon as the words left his mouth, Su Ming Yang regretted it. He shouldn't have said that. Could it be that they couldn't come to the docks? The docks didn't belong to the provincial governor of Luzhou. Moreover, he always felt that he didn't have the right to be the provincial governor, even though the official seal and documents clearly stated that he was the provincial governor of Luzhou. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan smiled at the same time and didn't take it seriously. Zhang Xiaobao said, Actually, it's nothing serious. A group of grandpas in the nursing home said that the weather hasn't been good recently. It seems like there's going to be a strong sea breeze. It should be a hurricane. Ha! Lord Zhang, don't scare me. Su Ming Yang felt a tug in his chest. He clutched his heart and shouted, What are you talking about? I'm just mentioning it. When you weren't the provincial governor, Luzhou had several hurricanes. It was just that the rain was heavier, some houses collapsed, and a few rows of trees fell. Calm down. Compared to those times, the hurricanes now are nothing. We're just here to tell you in advance. Don't wait for the wind to blow and panic instead of other people. Zhang Xiaobao patted Su Ming Yang's shoulder and comforted him. Su Ming Yang slowly calmed down. When he thought about Luzhou's roads and the layout of the houses, he realized that he was not afraid of any hurricanes. The roads were as wide as a square, and there was a sewer built with limestone. It was more than 10 feet wide and as tall as a person. He didn't even know how many there were. The highest house was only 3 stories high and was built with bamboo. Once the people evacuated, they could just wait for the wind to blow away and come back. With the support of the Zhang family and Wang family, the losses were nothing. They could just rebuild the damaged boats at the docks. That's good, that's good. I wonder if the titled madams have made the arrangements? My family can just pack up and leave. Su Ming Yang, who had calmed down, did not forget to show concern for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's mother. Zhang Xiaobao nodded. It's all done. In fact, I hate the current situation very much. We can't see any signs of the hurricanes, so we can only judge based on experience. If it was in the past, the hurricanes would be gone. If it was sunny, it would be sunny, and if it was raining, it would be pouring. Now, we can't do anything. As he spoke, Zhang Xiaobao glanced at Wang Wan. Wang Wan nodded. Then, both of them looked up at the sky. At that time they could indeed do this. The hurricanes could be eliminated the same way they were formed. It was nothing more than the airflow caused by magnetic fields and cold and heat. Without rain, clouds could be artificially formed. Black clouds could also be artificially dispersed. Everything depended on whether it was cost-effective or not. Other than human lives, if the losses caused by the weather were less than the amount of money that could be interfered with, they could let it wreak havoc. If it was more expensive, they could stop it. If they had money and wanted to play around, they could create their own hurricanes. The premise was that they did not hurt others. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan both wanted to know if hurricanes would form and where they would end up. However, they could not fulfill such a simple request. There were no satellites. However, Su Mingyang did not understand the two of them. When he heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, he thought of the immortals. At that time, he thought of the two of them as immortals. So he said in a trembling voice, I will do my best to ensure the safety of the local people. You don't need to guarantee the safety of the local people. Cuckoo and I are here. I want to ask you, do you know Japanese? In 2 days, a lot of Japanese will come. Then, Japan needs people from the Tang Empire to go over. Cuckoo and I can't leave, and we can't send all the people in my family who can speak Japanese to take care of things. Otherwise, wouldn't Japan become my home? Can you understand? Zhang Xiaobao finally said what he and Wang Wan wanted to talk to Su Mingyang about. Perhaps because Zhang Xiaobao's words were too sudden, Su Mingyang did not react for a moment. It was not until another ship approached the dock with a horn that he woke up and asked, "You want me to go to Japan?" Chapter 1144. There was a look of reluctance in Su Mingyang's eyes. He really didn't want to leave his hometown and go to a foreign place. After today's matter, with the money for publishing the book and the reward of being the provincial governor of Luzhou, he had a great chance to enter the capital and find a place for himself in front of Honyuan Palace. I know you want to go to the capital and be closer to His Majesty, but you don't know that the capital is actually not fun at all. Otherwise, His Majesty wouldn't always want to come out and travel. Look at me and Cuckoo, we never planned to stay in the capital for long, especially running to the palace to work. Have you noticed? Zhang Xiaobao looked at Su Mingyang's expression and knew what he was thinking about, so he persuaded him softly. Su Mingyang lowered his head and muttered in a low voice, "It's the same wherever you are. Who dares to not listen to you? You transfer the army here and there like a game. How can I compare? If I transfer the army today, I'll lose my head tomorrow. Why are you so stubborn? Do you have to sharpen your head to attend the morning court? You are now a third-grade official. When you enter the capital, will you be given a third-grade official position? You have no real power, do you understand?" Zhang Xiaobao continued to persuade him. Wang Wan also chimed in, "Isn't that so? The capital is deep, and it's not easy to survive. When you see me transfer the army, why don't you see who I am in front of? I have to explain every step of the army to His Majesty first. Even my guards can't be transferred at will. If you are a provincial governor outside, you are a local high official. For example, if you are in Luzhou and someone really wants to threaten your life, Luzhou's soldiers and people will never allow it, unless you always slander some titled lady. If you are in Guangzhou, Quanzhou, or other places, the whole place will tremble with your words. In the capital, today the prince, tomorrow the prince, oh, tomorrow the prince, oh, the prince, will you do what he asks you to do? If you do, you will collude with the inner court. If you don't, you will wait for revenge. If you really enter the capital, you will find that there are suddenly mountains above your head, pressing down on you until you can't breathe. Not to mention a third-grade official, you are even worse than a seventh-grade dog. A fifth-grade official is enough. Didn't your family encounter the same thing? Why can't I?" Su Mingyang stubbornly refuted in a low voice. "Rank 5? Your request is also. Oh, other than the censorate and internal officials, a fifth-rank official can attend court, right? If I ask you to go up, who do you dare to talk to? At this moment, you can sit at the same table and eat with His Majesty. When you enter the capital, you can only see an inch-tall figure. There are millions of officials in the world, but His Majesty won't remember who you are. Then there's what you said about my family. Yes, We've been encountering similar situations ever since we were young. It's as if anyone can bully us. Every day, other than thinking about how to strengthen the family, we also have to split up to deal with it. We have to pretend to be more obedient than Xiao Bei and the rest. We have to act like fools when others are scheming against us. We have to act like we don't know anything. My family has always earned a cent, given a cent, and kept a cent to appease resentment. Even now, it's still the same. Do you have the financial resources? Do you have that kind of talent? If there really was, you wouldn't have been bullied so badly by Xiao Bei and the others. What are you still talking about? Zhang Xiaobao was evoked by Su Mingyang's words. Step by step, there were too many times when he couldn't control himself. After speaking, Zhang Xiaobao patted Su Mingyang's shoulder and said, "In the sky full of thorns, an eagle that still soars definitely not only needs a pair of strong wings, but also the arrogance and wisdom of survival. I've seen your ability, and I know who your backer is, but going to the capital is not the best way out for you. I admire your forbearance, so go to Japan. I'll let you be the leader. In the future, your words there will be more effective than in Hanyuan Palace Hall." Su Mingyang listened to Zhang Xiaobao's words. He still didn't want to go to Japan, but he was very convinced of the history of the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family. At least he knew that he couldn't do it, but he felt a burst of fear in his heart about the unfamiliar land of Japan. So Su Mingyang forced himself to calm down when he had to make a choice. He said to Zhang Xiaobao, "There has never been a precedent of a Tang official being an official in Japan. I know a little Japanese, but I know nothing about Japan. There is no soil for Tang officials to survive there. Then entering the capital is also a waste." Xiao Bei's voice suddenly sounded behind Su Mingyang. When he turned around, he said, "You wait for others to pave the road for you before you take your construction team. What's the use of your construction team?" Xiao Yuan also immediately echoed, "That's right, it's the same as the story of selling shoes that brother told. It said that there were two people who went to a place where they didn't wear anything. So, pessimistic people will never be able to sing happy songs. How can a person with a mouth full of bitterness understand the elegance of other tastes?" Xiao Yuan told the story of selling shoes and summarized it. "According to this, I really should go to Japan? Go there to be an official? But what do I do first when I get there?" Su Mingyang had already begun to pay attention to technical issues. "Coincidentally, I have a proposal here. I'll let you take a look at it first." Zhang Xiaobao took out a thick paper from his arms and handed it to Su Mingyang. Looking at his still full chest, who knows how much paper there is inside? The only thing Su Mingyang knew was that he had been trapped. Obviously, the other party had already prepared everything. He could only take the paper and run to a secluded place to read it. He was very clear that if he didn't agree, he probably wouldn't be able to go to Hanyuan Palace Hall. Although Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were unwilling to go, it didn't mean that they didn't have the ability to influence someone's position in that place. "Right now, there's nothing to do. I'll take you to play. Look at the fish caught by the fishing boats from the deep sea. Be mentally prepared. Don't be smelly." Zhang Xiaobao handed over the proposal and turned around to speak to his younger siblings. He lifted his foot and walked towards the faraway fishing ground. He didn't ask, "Why did you come here?" like other adults would to their children, nor did he scold, "Who told you to come here?" Obviously, there was no need. If he really said such words, other than letting others feel the authority of an older brother and causing Xiao Bei and the others to feel uncomfortable, it wouldn't have any other effect. Children weren't criminals. Why should he let them experience the fear of criminals? They weren't unforgivable bad guys who wanted to destroy world peace. If they really had that ability, he definitely wouldn't be the savior of the world. They came over just to let him take them to play. If he didn't think that their appearance would interfere with his wise decision, then he should play with them. Zhang Xiaobao was obviously not the kind of older brother who would push all the blame onto his younger siblings. Therefore, when he saw that there wasn't much to do, he decided to take his younger siblings to play elsewhere. Even if the stench was strong, at least he had personally experienced it. "Have you finished your homework?" Wang Wan asked habitually. She regretted it as soon as she asked and looked at Zhang Xiaobao apologetically. Xiaobei shook his head vigorously. No, we discussed it and unanimously decided to do it at night. It's a little boring today, so we came out to play first. If you haven't done it, you don't have to do it at night. Today's topic has been changed. It's changed to what you'll see in a while. It'll ask you why you still insist on doing it, and what you can do with the things you throw away. If you get a prize, you'll get a prize, Zhang Xiaobao said and swung his arms exaggeratedly as he walked. Xiaobei and the other children also learned to walk with large strides. The trouble of doing homework at night didn't exist anymore. The sky seemed to be bluer and less boring. Wang Wan leaned over and whispered in Zhang Xiaobao's ear, "You're spoiling them. It's easy to cause them to be disobedient in the future." My mother used to say that, but were they really disobedient? In fact, many people weren't suitable for having children. People in their 20s had children and then didn't put in the effort they should have. To be precise, they couldn't bear the responsibility. Many parents hoped that their children would be obedient and well-behaved. Before their children went to kindergarten, they would play with them like toys. After their children went to kindergarten, they would tell their children to listen to the teacher every day. It seemed that children who sat on the bench and listened to the teacher without moving were good children. They would do whatever they were told to do, and they would absolutely not do what they were told to do. That was right. Teachers also hoped that this was the case. According to a fallacy, there was only one teacher and many students. The teacher couldn't adapt to every student, so the students had to find a way to adapt to the teacher. Listen to the teacher at school and listen to the parents at home. This was the education of your country. In fact, the real education of our nation was definitely not like this. It was education without discrimination, teaching to solve problems, dealing with people, and moral cultivation. If the child was not taught well, it was the fault of the father, and if the child was not taught well, it was the laziness of the teacher. The strict teaching of the father and the teacher was definitely not to make the child obedient like a puppet. Many people gave their children to their parents after they had children. This itself was a disrespect to life. If you can't teach your own children well, what else can you do? If you weren't prepared to give up everything for your children, why would you want them? Zhang Xiaobao also whispered to Wang Wan, but what he said could shock many families. If it were the Middle Ages in Europe, he should have been burned in the Square of Flowers, just like Bruno, who agreed with the Copernican theory, who asked him to say that the earth revolved around the sun. He wanted to prove this truth, but in the end, he violated the interests of too many people. Wang Wan naturally didn't have the ability to burn Zhang Xiaobao, and she also couldn't bear to. She said with a smile, "You are too radical. How can it be your country and our nation?" Nonsense. I'm not talking nonsense. I have many nationalities, so it's your country. I only have one root, so it's our nation. You think I'm radical because others are too mediocre. You've seen many people keep pets, haven't you? And they let their pets call them dad or mom. This is a manifestation of human control, especially the old people who don't have their children around. If you observe carefully, you will find that the way they educate their pets is no different from the way they educate their children. Some boys and girls who don't have children also keep pets, mostly dogs. If you ask them, they will definitely say that this is love or something. In fact, the essence is absolutely not, but they want their pets to listen to them. When they raise pets and children with infinite selfish thoughts, they don't deserve to have the sacred halo called love of life. They are garbage, a group of self-righteous garbage. Zhang Xiaobao became angrier as he spoke. Xiaobao, husband, do you want to deprive everyone of the right to have their own ideas? Do you want to treat what you say as the truth? If others don't treat their pets and children in the way you say, are they criminals under your God's grace? I know you were an orphan in the past, but this can't be an excuse or reason for you to criticize others. Don't those parents who you said raise their children like dogs choose to give up their own lives to protect their children when they have to make a choice? If you insist on what you say, please ask others to insist on what they say. Also, how can you scold people? That's not right. Wang Wan could have agreed with Zhang Xiaobao's words, but out of respect for Zhang Xiaobao, she still said her own thoughts, even if her words might make Zhang Xiaobao unhappy. Mother ***, what's this smell? It smells so bad. Under Xiao Bei's signal, Xiao Yuan said while smelling the stench. Zhang Xiaobao, who was whispering to Wang Wan, turned around and patted Xiao Yuan's head, saying, "You think the smell is bad, so do you want others to do the same? Also, how can you scold people? That's not right. Come, Xiao Yuan, come to sister's side. Your brother is now playing a game of slapping his own face. The words he said just now were completely reflected in his attitude towards you." Wang Wan smiled as she pulled Xiao Yuan over and said to Zhang Xiaobao while rolling her eyes. The group of children inexplicably looked back and forth between their brother and sister's faces. Chapter 1145. As an orphan, Zhang Xiaobao had always harbored a strong resentment towards his parents. It was not only towards his own parents, but also towards other people's parents. The thing he hated the most was seeing parents beating their children. At the same time, he also envied the children who were being coaxed. This was something that had been ingrained in one's soul since young, and it was very difficult to get rid of. Fortunately, he had parents now, and his family was very harmonious. Therefore, after venting for a while, he returned to his original self. He said to Xiao Yuan, "Just now, I was discussing the issue of world peace with your sister. Many things that lead to the destruction of countries start from scolding people." "Really?" Xiao Yuan did not believe him. "It's fake. It's wrong to scold people when you don't have the strength. If you have the strength, you can scold as much as you want. Let's go, I'll show you how smelly fish and rotten prawns can become delicious." Zhang Xiaobao pulled Xiao Bei with one hand and Xiao Yuan with the other, and walked in the direction of the fishy smell. Wang Wan could only pull Pan Er and her sister. The two little guys had short legs and short arms. They stretched out their arms and legs, and although their height and pace were clearly unreasonable, it made people feel that they were very harmonious when looking at them. The children were not tired at all, and would even occasionally run in front of the adults. As the smell got stronger, they got closer and closer to the place where the dried seafood was made. The smell that made people feel uncomfortable at the beginning became addictive after smelling it for a while. "It doesn't feel that bad anymore. I'm a little hungry." Xiao Yuan swallowed her saliva and looked up at her brother. "Yeah, why?" Xiao Bei had the same feeling. "It means that you still have some instincts and are not completely affected by habits. When making salted fish and prawns, other than salt, there are also fish and prawns that are fished out from the sea. Because the technology of long-distance fishing boats is still lacking, the initial processing can't keep up, and some fish and prawns will spoil. The fishy smell you smell is from the protein. When it's in the rotten or half-rotten stage, it's easier for animals to absorb it when they eat it. People with good lives can choose to eat things that are not rotten. After getting used to it, the body will no longer be immune to it, and it will be easy to get sick. Many animals do not have this condition, and continue to eat rotten food. However, there is still a part of human nature that is inclined towards survival. Therefore, there is a desire to consume certain proteins and phospholipids. For example, stinky tofu. If it is not too salty when it is made, any baby a few months old will like to eat it because it is necessary for survival. Zhang Xiaobao was in a good mood at the moment, so he explained to his younger siblings. "But I think children like sweets more." Behind him, Little Hai spoke up. "Yes, they prefer to eat candy because it takes less time for the body to absorb and use the candy. The structure of the body and survival instincts are the conditions that determine this tendency. Whether you give it to herbivores, carnivores, or even insects, most of them eat candy because Zhang Xiaobao couldn't remember anything as he spoke. He turned to look at Wang Wan. After all, he had learned a lot from Wang Wan after coming here. The children were very smart and turned to look at their sister together. Wang Wan rolled her eyes at Zhang Xiaobao again and said, "Because many creatures in the world are carbon-based life forms. Of course, there are other life forms besides carbon-based life forms, but we have found too few of them. As for sugar, it is the easiest carbohydrate in nature to be broken down and absorbed. I don't understand. Xiao Bei was confused. He lowered his head and sighed, saying, I still haven't learned enough. You will know in the future. The more you know, the more you realize your ignorance. Not all questions have answers. Zhang Xiaobao also sighed. For a moment, a look of confusion appeared in his eyes. Yes, science is endless. The only right thing is the courage to study the unknown and to overthrow the conclusions of the predecessors. When you feel that something doesn't conform to science, it only proves that you have narrowed the scope of science. If you can't explain it for the time being, it doesn't mean that it's not scientific, but that the development of science is not perfect. At least, it can't explain it. Wang Wan seemed to be saying this for her younger siblings, but in fact, she was saying this for Zhang Xiaobao. She knew that Zhang Xiaobao thought about how to come here, but she also didn't understand. Perhaps many years later, people could give a scientific answer. Even the knowledge that elementary school students at that time could understand. For example, many things in the world that seemed profound now were actually things that she learned as a child in science class. The earth was round, the sun was big, and the earth was small. The earth ran around the sun. How simple was that? When she was learning, she simply put her classmates in a room, and then released synchronized images from 6 directions at the same time, directly simulating the birth and evolution of the earth. It was a very simple technology, and it had been around for more than 100 years. It's a pity that sister and brother don't have the ability to let you have a taste of it. Wang Wan thought in her heart and looked at her younger siblings apologetically. At the same time, she asked Zhang Xiaobao, when do you think the panoramic image can be made? It's useful for education. We don't even have film now. I've urged the Ministry of Works twice, but they keep saying that it'll be soon. I'm afraid that I'll put too much pressure on them, so it's not good to urge them again. It's more useful for military affairs. Let's go. Let's take a look at our salted fish first. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head and continued to walk forward. Isn't it better to make canned food? Why do we have to eat salted fish? Yes, canned food is canned food, and salted vegetables are salted vegetables. The cost of the food for individual soldiers in the inner courtyard is too high. We can't supply a large amount of it to the army. Wang Wan muttered. She was pulled along by the 2 impatient little fellows and continued to walk forward. When they reached the drying area, everyone couldn't stand it anymore. The smell was too strong in the air. Everyone went to the logistics warehouse to get a big mask. They felt much more comfortable wearing it, mainly because many floating particles were blocked by the mask. There are good and bad salted fish, right? Xiao Yuan asked as he circled around a rope with many salted fish hanging on it. He pointed at a dried fish with sunken eyes and black gills. Yes, especially the fish head. It'll be removed after it's dry. Otherwise, it'll be easy to get poisoned after eating it. We're keeping it now so that it's convenient to hang it up and dry. Those whose heads have fallen off can only be put on a flat surface to dry. It's now in the storage period for the army, Zhang Xiaobao explained. Won't you get poisoned if you eat a salted fish without a head? Xiao Bei asked. There's also the possibility of getting poisoned, but there's no other way. We have to enrich the people's dining tables as much as possible. It's our fault that our skills aren't good enough. Food is the most important thing for the people. This is also why I'm against wasting food. Since ancient times, many dynasties have changed because of food. Of course, there's a rebellion when there's no food to eat. Zhang Xiaobao said as he patted his sister's head. Xiao Bei blinked and ran to the side of a big salted fish. He pointed at the fish and said, Shall we eat salted fish tonight? Okay, I have to choose properly. I can't let you guys get poisoned. Zhang Xiaobao really went to choose the fish as he spoke. Chapter 1146. For Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, it meant that it was snowing in Jilin. The news they received said that it was snowing heavily. When they received the news, the snow had not stopped yet. When they looked up at the sky, it was dark. They could only see white when the snow fell like cotton. If it were any other place, such as Gyeonggi Province or Hunan Province, this would definitely be a disaster area. However, in Jilin, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were not worried at all. Firstly, it was very cold in Jilin during winter. It was normal for it to snow. Even if it was heavy, it would not matter. It would be abnormal if it did not snow. Secondly, there were not many people there. Most of them were soldiers, and they were well prepared. There was no need to take care of them at all. If even the soldiers stationed there could not withstand the snow, it could only mean that the soldiers were not trained well enough. Compared to the situation there, they needed to be more concerned about their mothers. The two pregnant mothers were about to give birth and were currently staying in the expected delivery room. The same Lu Zhou, the same twins, almost the same time of pregnancy, and the same delivery date. Everything was coincidental. However, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not care about such things. If it was recorded in history, perhaps there would be a sentence, "No coincidence, no story." However, it did not seem to have much to do with history now. Both of them were very nervous. Although people said that a woman was only in danger when she gave birth to her first child, the two of them were still on guard. After all, they were twins this time. Not only did they need their mother to be safe, but they also needed their younger brother or sister to be safe. "O heavens, O earth, O dragon god, I'm praying to you. You must protect my mother and mother-in-law. If you really need someone to die, it's best to die. Let the people on the other side of the earth die." Zhang Xiaobao nagged, and Wang Wan, who was watching at the side, was confused. She asked, "Xiaobao, do you believe in gods too?" "In the past, I didn't believe them. They always spouted nonsense in front of me, especially when they were drunk. Now, I choose to believe them for once. If they dare to play any tricks on me, I will teach them a lesson. I don't believe that they won't ask me for help in the future." "You're so full of yourself. You're acting like a god. It's been raining for the past few days. I'm afraid that the humidity will be too high and harm our mother's body. It's also too dry to roast her in a charcoal brazier. Why don't you put your celestial brothers aside and think of a better idea with me?" Wang Wan didn't believe that Zhang Xiaobao would have any faith in a religious figure. Not to mention Zhang Xiaobao, even she didn't believe in it. Many religious doctrines were good, especially in special times. There were also many ethnic customs. For example, Mao Zedong didn't teach to eat pork. One reason was that pigs were easy to spread diseases at that time. Another reason was that they consumed too much food, so they didn't eat pork. But why did they eat cows and sheep? It was because cows and sheep ate grass. Also, when you shook hands with people in India, you must never reach out your left hand, because they eat with their right hand and not their left hand. It was because under special circumstances, or under normal circumstances, Indians used their left hand to clean up after they defecated. When she first came here, she saw other people using toilet paper. Although it looked more disgusting, she and Xiao Bao had never used it. At that time they were still young. When they had the status, even if they didn't have good toilet paper, they still had to use cloth. Sigh, now the Tang people can go and enjoy life. At least they have toilet paper that they can use. The existence of religion is actually reasonable. Wang Wan thought for a moment, then said conclusively. Zhang Xiaobao was stunned. He didn't understand how religion and toilet paper were related. Fortunately, his IQ was not low, and he was also able to adapt to the jump in thinking. He said, "Not all people in Tang have the money to buy toilet paper. Some still use leaves and sticks. Personal hygiene is also not as good as you think, especially disinfection and sterilization of reproductive organs. As for the meaning of the existence of religion, the biggest reason is that when the ruler himself is unable to form a better belief system, it is just a means to consolidate the ruling position. If no one uses the doctrines of religion out of selfishness, many religions in the world are good. But that is absolutely impossible. Even the people of religion can split up a religion for their own interests. How can you expect them to save the world? Also, religion has another characteristic, which is that it is exclusive. Since you love the world, why do you distinguish between them? There is reincarnation in the 6 realms, How can you stand in the secular world? Worship in the heart and hold the holy sword in the hand. These are the 3F*King religions. The prosperity of Buddhism was not caused by India. It was caused by China. Only China's cultural foundation can let people understand that a grain of sand, a world, a flower, a leaf, a Tathagata. Maybe it's because my status is not high enough. I can't be pious when they talk about religion. I have never seen anyone being pious before. If I were to be pious, I would be a communist. You and I have high status in Great Tang. You dare to say that we are communists together with me? Or should I say that we have reached communism? Since I can remember until now, I only have one bodhisattva in my heart. I remember there was a 60-year-old man who drove a VIP to our place. After that, I found out that it was not a VIP. It was a RV. I bought a few of them. There was a trailer, and there was a bigger trailer. At that time, that old man said that he would give us 20,000 renminbi to cook a few good meals for us. In the end, that 20-year-old woman smiled gently. Wei Wei shook her head and pouted. She was so beautiful. If I were to describe it now, it would be the 12 zodiacs. So, 20,000 renminbi became 200,000 renminbi. Bodhisattva. Definitely a bodhisattva. Although some people say that bodhisattva is a man, but you ask me now. I will tell you that the bodhisattva in my heart is a woman. That smile can make flowers bloom and butterflies dance. So, bodhisattva is just adding zeros. What 12 zodiacs? It's 6 zodiacs, okay? The 12 zodiacs are the holy warriors. Don't tell me you have watched too many cartoons from 100 years ago that reminded you of that Shaka who said that he was the only one in the world? Wang Wan pursed her lips and smiled. She knew that Zhang Xiaobao was just saying that out of boredom. He was not trying to gain sympathy. If a woman sympathized with a man, it would make him feel inferior. A real man needed to control and conquer, even if he was a scavenger. Does the 12 zodiacs have anything to do with Buddhism? In your words, I am at least the king of hell, Hades. Let's go out and take a walk. You will be confused if you are too concerned. Leave everything to the medical staff. With our skills, we will only be adding to the chaos if we help deliver the baby. Zhang Xiaobao straightened his clothes and pushed the door open. When he opened the door, he narrowed his eyes. Then, he realized that it was not snowing here. There was no reflection from the snow. I hope it will snow in Luzhou as well. I want the children in Luzhou who have never seen snow before to be happy, Zhang Xiaobao said when he realized that it was not snowing. Wang Wan, who followed him out, looked at the sky and nodded in agreement. Yes, it has happened in history that the children can see snow, but it was always light snow, especially during the Little Ice Age. There was a record of snow in Qinzhou. If it was said that it snowed on the equator many years ago, I would believe it. But I definitely don't believe that you can see snow in Luzhou this year. It's raining heavily now. Oh, I know. The Little Ice Age is cold, so it snows here, Zhang Xiaobao said as he straightened his collar again. He looked like a scholar. The Little Ice Age doesn't refer to cold. It refers to a special environment. During the Little Ice Age, it was dry. It was very hot, Wang Wan explained to Zhang Xiaobao. That's right. When things reach an extreme, they will move in the opposite direction. When it's cold to a certain extent, it will become hot. Many people who froze to death felt that they were very hot before they died, so they took off their clothes. Zhang Xiaobao loosened his collar. He still wanted to be a scholar, but he did not loosen his collar properly. If there were many officials, the house would look small. 3 entrances was already good enough. At the same time, it was also affected by the streets of the capital, so it expanded horizontally. There were only 2 places in Luzhou that were not restricted. One was the provincial governor's mansion. There were pavilions, terraces, and small bridges. The other was the Ocean and Clouds Tavern. The latter could be built however he wanted. The former was a little troublesome. No matter how he built it, he could not change the layout of an official's house. He did not care about the decorations in the house. He could not even build a small path outside. The house that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan came to was relatively wide. Obviously, they lived a good life. When the two of them came to the front door and were about to knock and enter, Zhang Xiaobao could not understand a sound came from inside. "What are you mumbling about?" Zhang Xiaobao's raised hand stopped in midair as he muttered. Wang Wan listened carefully. Her eyes immediately reddened as she said, "The people inside are burning incense. They said that they are willing to exchange their lives for the smooth birth of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's children. A life for a life." Chapter 1147. Why bother? I haven't even mastered the technique of exchanging a life for a life. They can't do it even if they want to. The people of Luzhou are too simple-minded. They know too little about science. I don't feel good listening to their grumbling. Zhang Xiaobao purposely said nonsensical words, but then he couldn't help but sigh. Wang Wan raised her hand and knocked on the door. The sound of the knocking was accompanied by the dripping of rain, giving off a dull feeling. "Who is it?" After a short while, the side door of the main gate was opened from the inside. A head poked out and looked out. When he saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's faces, he opened his mouth in surprise and did not know what to say. "It's almost noon. Xiaobao and I want to find a place to eat. Is it convenient for you?" Wang Wan said to the head with a smile. The head nodded vigorously. "It's convenient. It's convenient to eat whenever you want." After saying that, the head was so excited that he closed the door with a bang. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan heard someone shouting and running inside. "Master, madam, this is bad. Someone is here to eat. Quickly get someone to prepare. This is bad. If our inner court was like him, I would have kicked him out long ago. If I can't kick him out, I'll leave on my own. He's not calm when he's in trouble. Let us in for tea first." When he heard the commotion inside, Zhang Xiaobao sighed again and said, "The problem is that our courtyard is not a two-sectioned courtyard. The money spent is different. Don't be idle these days. When your brother and sister are born, you have to help them name their names. It will be very noisy if there are too many children." Wang Wan touched the door with her hand. The paint on the vermilion door did not fall off because of the rain. Based on her touch, there was a layer of shiny oil outside the paint. The production of this material was very low. It needed to be blended with petroleum products. There was gasoline inside, not soybean oil. There was only one place in Great Tang that produced it, and that was the Ministry of Works. "Xiaobao, look, we found a well-to-do family. They can actually use shiny oil in a two-sectioned courtyard. Many officials in the three-section courtyard have never heard of it." Wang Wan wagged her finger and said to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao agreed. "It's not a normal well-to-do family. If we had known, we would have changed to another one. It makes people think that we came here on purpose. It's not on purpose. It's fate." As soon as Zhang Xiaobao's, a woman's. Then, there was the sound of messy footsteps in the water. When the door opened, an old lady with white hair in a bun walked out with her back straight. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan hurriedly supported her. Wang Wan said, "Old madam, you can't do this. Xiaobao and I walk to your house. We happened to be hungry and wanted to ask for a bowl of rice. It's good to be hungry. Hunger means fate. Why aren't you hungry when you walk to other places? So many people want to kiss you and Xiaobao, but they can't even have a meal. Since you're in front of my house, I can't let you two run away." The servants are not sensible and ran back. If they were smart, they would have tied you two up with ropes. If you ran away, they would regret it for the rest of their lives. The white-haired old madam looked at Zhang Xiaobao and then at Wang Wan. She did not show fear like many people. Instead, she looked at them as if they were her juniors. If it were an ordinary person, they would have to be respectful just because of the old madam's behavior. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were also respectful, but it had nothing to do with the old madam's behavior. As long as the old madam was not disrespectful, they would be respectful. Thus, the two of them helped the old madam into the house. The people in the courtyard began to get busy. The cooks were even more alert. The old madam led Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan into the living room. She had them sit down and ordered tea and snacks. Then, she said to Zhang Xiaobao kindly, "Qiao and the others will be born soon, right? Counting the days, it should be in the next few days." Zhang Xiaobao was stunned. He thought to himself, "Why are you so enthusiastic about my mother giving birth?" However, he said, "Soon, soon. It's just that it's been raining non-stop recently. It's stuffy, hot, and humid. I'm afraid it's not good for the body." "Then you have to be careful. If your family's life is good, my family's life will be better. When your father ran away with your mother, they hid in my inn. When the yamen runners chased after them, I stuffed your father and mother into the cellar and said I didn't see them. Later, your family became successful, and I benefited from it. See, I moved to Luzhou 2 years ago. It's good here. It's not cold in winter." The old madam held Wang Wan's hand and looked at Zhang Xiaobao as she talked about the past. "Ah, Granny Huang, we're actually at your house. Cuckoo and I were planning to find a random family to have a meal with. It's fate." At this moment, Zhang Xiaobao realized he did not bring any gifts. He also understood why the old madam could use the shiny oil. The only thing Zhang Xiaobao could do was bow. Wang Wan stood up obediently and bowed with Zhang Xiaobao. "Good, good. You're just like your father and mother when they were young. A talented man and a beautiful woman, a match made in heaven. At that time, the yamen runners even told me that your father and mother broke the law. Do you think I'm that easy to fool? I said I didn't know. What can they do to me? I'm a widow with 2 children. How dare they bully me? I've done many wrong things in my life, but I've done one right thing. At least, my 2 children are married now. They're all successful. Don't worry about your mother. I've discussed it with the heavens. If something really happens, it'll come to me. A life for a life. I've lived for so long, and my only regret is that I haven't seen your grandfather with my own eyes. If it's him who comes today, I'll stand at the door and scold him." When the old lady reached a certain age, she didn't need to put on any pretense. She spoke her mind directly and didn't hide it at all. Grandma Huang is right. At first, I felt uncomfortable. Then I thought about it. At the beginning, my father's status was too low. Even if he's not studying now, there's still a big gap between him and my grandfather. But I can't put my mother in the middle. What's more, my grandfather's family has shown their sincerity. Grandma Huang, are you used to living here? Zhang Xiaobao also said very calmly. Now, no one in his maternal grandfather's family dared to look down on his father. Everyone said that people live to fight for their dignity, but when they fought for their dignity, what they got was not the venting of their anger, but a sigh. Time was merciless. What was the point of looking back? Good, good. Let's not talk about the past. Let's eat. It's a pity that only the 2 of you came today. It would be lively if the group of little fellows also came. Old Madame Huang said regretfully. As for how the food should be cooked, no one mentioned anything. The chefs just had to do their best. If they really wanted to compete, they might as well go back and cook for themselves. What kind of delicacies could they not get? Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were not picky. They could eat what others could eat. In order to survive, they could eat what others couldn't. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan found a place that provided meal tickets and ate to their heart's content. Li Longji, on the other hand, couldn't find a meal ticket. He had people look around, but after finding nothing, he could only let the imperial chefs who followed him make lunch. Those 2 definitely ran out to eat secretly and left me here to starve. No brother and sister like that. Xiao Bei, don't you think so? Li Longji felt that the lunch made by the imperial chefs was much worse. He muttered a few words in dissatisfaction and tried to rope Xiao Bei in as an ally. Xiao Bei was eating soup and rice. There were also a few side dishes on the table. Only the soup was clean, and the side dishes were prepared by her family. The other things were all carved into beautiful patterns. She didn't dare to eat them. There were tofu and bamboo shoots. They were carved into the shape of heavenly maidens scattering flowers. Wasn't it still tofu and bamboo shoots? She could make them look good, but she couldn't eat them. She was afraid that she would get a stomachache. When she heard the emperor's question, Xiao Bei put down her chopsticks and replied seriously, "Yes, yes. I was planning to eat wonton at noon today, but it seems that I will have to wait until evening. I can only make do with this meal now. Uncle Emperor, please tell the masters in the imperial kitchen not to use tofu to carve things in the future. They only need to be able to cut the ingredients. They don't need to have profound carving skills. If they really want to compete in carving, how can they compare to specialized carving skills? The strong don't hold banquets because of their appearance. The hungry and cold beg for food because of warmth. In my huaxia, the great etiquette is known as summer, and the beauty of clothing is known as hua. But what is beauty? I believe that the beauty of clothing lies in the body, the beauty of food lies in the taste, the beauty of accommodation lies in the comfort, and the beauty of travel lies in the charm. So, Xiao Yuan was being attacked even when he was lying down. It had nothing to do with him, even though he was only drinking soup and eating side dishes. Of course, the other children were the same. The dishes were too scary and not suitable to be eaten at home. Originally, the food was arranged into various shapes. When people ate it, they would think that it had been touched by others. How disgusting was that? Hearing Xiao Bei change the topic, Xiao Yuan helplessly put down his chopsticks and said, "So, oh so. The etiquette lies in the heart and intention, not the form. The beauty comes from the appearance, not the flower. The budding spring is the beauty. The trickling summer is the beauty. The late autumn leaves are also the beauty. The winter cold, the cold plum blossoms are even more beautiful in the snow. The beauty is ordinary, not complicated. Chong'an is sparse and doesn't need the beauty. The sea doesn't need the beauty. We're just eating a meal. Carving like this and carving like that. It's not like I haven't seen carvings before. My family's carving skills are all jade carvings. In the future, I'll ask the imperial chef to change it. It's fine to practice carving skills, but don't use 90% of every dish to show off your carving skills. Isn't that too idle? Uncle Emperor, take a look at this. Who hollowed out the lamb liver into a plum blossom? There's also green onions. Xiao Bei reminded him, the ones below are white onions. They're taken as snow and shaped like plum blossoms proud in the snow. Both are considered supplements. Tear off a strip of the lamb liver and place it with the green onions. Dip it in the garlic and chili sauce on the side and eat it. The garlic and chili sauce is red. It's called a little plum blossom, a little red. It's good for the body. Li Longji's face turned red. Zhang Xiaobao wasn't here today, so he asked the imperial chefs to make a dish. In the end, he was criticized by the two little fellows as if there was nothing good about it. Even his own son and daughter followed suit and only drank soup. In the future, when the imperial kitchen cooks, your carving skills are not allowed to exceed 40%. Don't use your energy on your knife skills. Li Longji said. In the end, after the meal, Li Longji was even more depressed. He didn't eat well. In the afternoon, the rain stopped. He led the group outside for a stroll and found that there were fewer commoners outside. Usually, when they went out, they could see many carriages. Today, there were only a few passing by. Where's everyone? Li Longji asked in puzzlement. Replying to your majesty, they've all gone home to burn incense. The madams of the Zhang family and the Wang family are showing signs of giving birth. The people in the medical hall are on alert. There are also many people surrounding the area to prevent others from getting close. There's a charcoal fire nearby. It's said that it's to drive away the cold. Gao Lishe received the report from his subordinates and said to Li Longji, Chapter 1148. Oh. Realization dawned on Li Longji. No wonder. It's not convenient for me to go there personally. The Empress and concubine, we can take care of them. Little Bei, don't go and cause trouble. Tell the servants to be careful of the candles. Then, when will I be able to see my younger brother or sister? Little Bei seemed anxious. The others could only shake their heads in response to her question. Who knew when they would be able to see their younger brother? Even if they were preparing now, they might have to wait until the next day. There was no definite answer. As for whether Lu Zhou's economy would be affected if they went home to offer incense, nobody cared. Nobody criticized the Zhang Wang clan duo. This was the home advantage. Why didn't the people offer incense when Jun and Pan were born? Li Longji smacked his lips and said with a hint of jealousy in his voice when he saw the little ones had gone off to study on their own. That's because you didn't publicize it, Your Majesty. The people in the capital can't possibly ask about the palace when they have nothing to do. If someone does, we'll have to guard against them. Why don't we publicize it the next time you have something to do, Your Majesty? Gao Lishe explained. At the same time, he was impressed by Su Mingyang. He was addicted to being an official at the docks. If he were in Su Mingyang's shoes, he would go mad with anger if he saw the people stop working for the former wives of several realms. Li Longji sighed. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo have to worry about the publicity. The two of them have their own plans. When they brought Zhang Zhong over, who would have thought this would happen? Now that Lu Zhou's population is increasing, why are the people who came to Lu Zhou joining in the fun? Zhang Zhong didn't do them any favors. Gao Lishe and Wei Wei paused for a moment before he said, it's true that he didn't do them any favors. However, once they come to Lu Zhou, they won't be able to leave Lu Zhou's Chamber of Commerce. Everyone knows that the Lu Zhou's Chamber of Commerce is backed by the Zhang family and the Wang family. When they work for the main family, they have to protect the main family. Besides, he couldn't stand the praises of his neighbors. Everyone praised the Zhang clan and the Wang clan, and after hearing a lot, he naturally felt that they were good as well. Moreover, the way the Zhang clan and the Wang clan did things was truly difficult for others to find fault with. Xiao Bao had many tricks up his sleeve, but he had never schemed against any part of the great Tang. Moreover, Xiao Bei and the other 8 are the great Tang's patrol inspectors that you personally appointed. When the people listen to stories, they like to hear about a certain corrupt official being dealt with. If that's the case, do you think the people of Lu Zhou will treat the Zhang family and the Wang family badly? What about us? Am I not good enough? Li Longji asked again. Yes, Your Majesty is different from the others. The people miss Your Majesty, but because Your Majesty's status is too noble and lofty, they won't think too much about other things. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo are closer to you. They revere you while they respect and love Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo are actually worried that you'll lose your position, so they've been promoting you. Every issue of the newspapers all over the country has words like, Your Majesty. During the disaster relief, they're also using the imperial family's name. Although the people know that many of the supplies were taken out from the warehouses of the Zhang family and the Wang family, they've been helping you. Gao Lishe chuckled and began to analyze. Actually, I know that too. It's just that I feel a little uncomfortable when I see that the people favor the Zhang family and the Wang family more than me. Winter is coming, and there aren't too many disasters this year. The patrol inspectors are coming out in waves, and the officials all over the country are afraid. They've done what they should do well. The only problem is that it's man-made. They're so bold that they actually dared to attack Xiao Bei and the others directly. They even wanted to scheme against the Zhang family and the Wang family. If possible, they planned to kill me as well. After that, they pretended that they didn't know anything. This matter isn't over yet. When I have the financial support, I'll personally fight and avenge the people of Tang. Li Longji suddenly remembered that the new year was coming. He realized that there weren't many disasters this year. There weren't so many droughts and floods, and there wasn't a scene of the whole family fleeing. As he spoke, he thought of the incident in Jiangnan Circuit and was furious. In the past, Gao Lishe would have persuaded him, but now he supported him. Your Majesty, you should really go on an expedition yourself. When Xiao Bao and Cuckoo finish fighting Duosha, the two of them will organize the troops to support your Majesty. This was the reason why Gao Li Shi supported him. When the time came, the emperor would personally lead the expedition, but the choice of the general would be up to him. When it came to the deployment of troops, it would be up to him to decide who to listen to. Li Longji understood the meaning behind his words. After thinking for a while, he finally nodded and said, "Yes, I need Cuckoo's advice. Don't let your emotions affect your decisions. Otherwise, the good men of Tang will be buried. The rain has stopped. Let's go out for a walk. I don't know when we'll come again. It's best not to have too many snow disasters this winter. No one can say for sure what the heavens want. As long as there's no snow south of the Yellow River, it'll be fine. The people in the north are already used to it. I don't think they'll be able to come out immediately this time." Gao Li Shi walked out with her and talked about the trip. "I'll be satisfied if I can come out once a year and stay outside for 3 months. This time, it's to build a railway. What excuse should I use next time? When we go back, there should be some roads that are open to traffic. Let's take a seat and see who can tell us. What's the prosperity of spring and autumn? Maybe Xiao Bao and Cuckoo can know." Li Longji clasped his hands behind his back and shook his head. Gao Li Shi echoed, "I think so. Every time the Ministry of Works, the Senongsi Temple, and the Medical College come up with something new, the two of them are very calm and not surprised at all. Every time, they can point out what to pay attention to when using the new thing and how it can be used in other places. It's as if they already know it." Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan naturally didn't know that because they weren't at home at noon, the quality of their food was very poor. When they were about 70% full, they had to say goodbye to Granny Huang and her family and go to the delivery room. When they arrived, the first thing they felt was a wave of heat. They were all people who were advised to burn charcoal far away. Just now, they were too close to the delivery room. Not only was it hot, but there was also smoke, so they were advised to go outside to cool off. "How is it?" Zhang Xiaobao stood outside and asked. He didn't go in, because he couldn't help much even if he went in. Just now, Madame Zhang made a little movement, but now she stopped. "We're all waiting. Madame Wang hasn't reacted yet. Little young master, don't worry, there definitely won't be any problems. In the past few years, I've delivered at least 3,000 children, if not 10,000. There's a delivery job every day. The accident rate for the first child is 0.5%, and the accident rate for women who have delivered before is 0.1%, which is 0.1%. This refers to the situation in the hospital, where the accident rate is very high. There's no other way, because the medical conditions are not up to standard." The obstetrician assured Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan that the person who was qualified to deliver the mother of the two was naturally the head of the obstetrics and gynecology department of Day Hospital. Zhang Xiaobao nodded and looked at Wang Wan. Both of them knew that this was already very small. Although it couldn't be compared to their time, as long as the cause was not congenital, as long as the hospital was chosen, it was impossible for there to be any accident during delivery. At that time, medical technology was better developed. In theory, as long as there was a need for blood and cell replacement, the mother and child could meet the requirements. There was no such thing as a mismatch because during pregnancy, the mother and child were symbiotic. What could circulate in the mother's body would also circulate in the child's body. Although the actual operation was a little difficult, no problem had been found in the theoretical argument. But now, the death rate of 0.5% was really too small. No one in Japan or the surrounding areas would dare to believe it. To hire a midwife with a death rate of 10% for the first child, the price was not small. Even if the death rate was only 2%, 1 in 50 would die. Such a probability was frightening. If there is any deviation, I ask, to save the mother. Zhang Xiaobao said this sentence with great difficulty, because once this sentence came out, if his younger brothers and sisters knew in the future, they would naturally feel uncomfortable in their hearts. Wang Wan also nodded at the side. In case there was a need to choose, it was sad to lose a younger brother or a younger sister, but it was definitely not as bad as losing a mother. The longer people lived together, the more difficult it was to part with them. This was a kind of attachment and a kind of habit. Understood, I know what to do. The doctor only answered a few words, turned around and went in again, but the meaning was clearly expressed. In the future, this sentence would not be spread out. Let's go. Now our family is finally prosperous. Including the one we picked up later, there are a total of 16 people. Haha, it's so lively. It's enough to open a small kindergarten. Zhang Xiaobao walked back with his arm around Wang Wan's waist and said happily. Wang Wan did not avoid others. She let Zhang Xiaobao put his arm around her waist, and at the same time, put her hand on Zhang Xiaobao's waist and said, normal people are normal and have normal health. They can have a lot of children, but they can't raise them. Didn't the founding general also write in My Mother that if too many children are born, they can only drown? It's the tragedy of the era. If they can't have children, they can't raise the children they give birth to. How sad would it be to kill a young life with one's own hands? Yes, so now we're helping the Tang Empire to raise them and let them have as many children as they can. Anyway, the country is so big, we need people to live there. Zhang Xiaobao said. How big is our country? Are you saying that 6 million square kilometers can accommodate 4 billion people? Wang Wan asked. No, it's 4 billion square kilometers. When the standard of living is high and the level of education is high, the population growth will not be fast. The reason for the growth is that the lifespan is extended. As long as the social security is in place, many couples are not willing to have children. The poorer and more backward a place is, the more children there will be. Individuals don't have many skills, so they can get fewer survival resources. When there are more children, they can naturally get more. They can't find other entertainment in their daily life, so they can only do one thing. Plus, they lack the knowledge and skills to raise children, so children are born. Zhang Xiaobao hugged Wang Wan and waved his hand generously. His body turned a circle, and Wang Wan turned a bigger circle. Wang Wan, who found that she was walking more, was not willing. She also hugged Zhang Xiaobao and turned a circle. Finally, she made up for the distance and said with a smile, Oh, you're planning to occupy the land of the earth. In fact, people can live on the sea. It's okay if you expand the area a little. Oh, I forgot about that. Well, I'll let the natives of other places live on the sea in the future. I've decided. After killing Polisher, I'll drive the natives of the northeast region to the Mediterranean Sea. Otherwise, they'll find a way to make their own boats and take them to North America. Zhang Xiaobao waved his fist and said confidently. Chapter 1149. Another 2 days passed while waiting for the birth. Wang Wan's mother was the first to show signs of movement. Due to her previous experience, she wasn't particularly afraid. With the help of the doctor, the 2 children were born one after another. Coincidentally, the Jiang Wang clan also showed signs of movement 2 hours later. Then, the 2 children were born smoothly. The 2 were also twins, and they were also fraternal twins. However, the Wang clan's 2 children were born first, unlike Xiao Bei and the others. Knowing that the mother and child were safe, Zhang Xiaobao heaved a sigh of relief. He wanted to go in to take a look, but was stopped outside. Only Wang Wan, Xiao Bei, Danan, and Xiao Nan were allowed to go in. Wang Wan's mother's child was born early, but she hadn't opened her eyes yet. On the contrary, Zhang Xiaobao's younger brother and sister opened their eyes when they were carried out. The medical staff squatted down so that Xiao Bei and the others could see the children. Why is she so wrinkled? Xiao Bei stared at her younger sister. She was different from what she had imagined. She thought that she would be fair and plump, but in the end, she was small and wrinkled. Hearing the sound, the baby girl closed one of her eyes, and tried hard to open the other. However, she could only open a small gap. Through this small gap, Her eyes met with Xiao Bei's gaze. Her eyes were originally lifeless, but Xiao Bei felt that there was a special charm in them. That slightly dazed, helpless, and inquisitive expression made Xiao Bei feel more solemn. It also symbolized the arrival of a new life. Younger sister, welcome. I announce that you have come to this world. As your older sister, I will tell you how wonderful this world is. I will protect you until the day you can protect others. Your laughter is what I look forward to. I am willing to bear this responsibility because this is also my happiness. Xiao Bei smiled at his sister with the most gentle expression he could muster before solemnly promising her. Looking at the other 3 children, Xiao Bei lamented to his sister, "So the birth of new life can make people so excited and happy. When I see them, I feel that I'm no longer weak. I have to be strong and hold up the blue sky for them. I've decided that in order to celebrate the birth of my younger brothers and sisters, from now on, Tang Dynasty's precious candy house will prepare a family meal for all the children of Tang Dynasty for free within 24 hours. I'm willing to give my all for my younger brothers and sisters. Your brother and I thought the same. I believe our parents felt the same way." Wang Wan patted Xiao Bei's head. "Yes, I believe that the majority of people would be like that when faced with a new life. However, there are also a small number of people who don't deserve to be human. For example, our younger sister Hong Er's original father, that official or something. I don't even have the heart to remember him. Aya, do they want to drink milk? I'll have someone prepare it right away." Xiao Bei snuggled up to his sister and suddenly remembered the problem of feeding his younger brothers and sisters. He turned around to make the arrangements. Wang Wan hurriedly pulled Xiao Bei back. "Don't drink milk. Our mother has milk. It's enough to feed 2 children. Back then, your brother and I didn't have a problem. It's just that our mother has to suffer. She's greatly restricted in terms of eating." "Ah, can seafood be eaten? Can vegetables be eaten?" For Xiao Bei, who didn't have such knowledge, his mother's eating was a very mysterious matter. "You can't eat things that are too salty. You also need to take in more water to maintain the protein and fats in your body. You need to eat meat. You also need to replenish the various fruits and vegetables needed for vitamins. You also need to do exercise. If you don't eat well, not only will the baby get sick, but the mother will also get sick. Many women's illnesses are caused when they are pregnant and feeding the child. Fortunately, your brother has learned a lot of knowledge in this area. Not many people can handle it." Wang Wan explained to Xiao Bei. She and Zhang Xiaobao weren't like other adults who were afraid of children asking such questions. Other adults might be embarrassed, afraid that their children had learned something they shouldn't and would ask questions. However, she and Zhang Xiaobao organized the words that the child could understand and described the matter in a language that the child could understand. This was because the 2 of them never thought that giving birth to a child was a shameful thing. The continuation of life was solemn and sacred. If anyone criticized it in the name of morality, then it was immoral in itself. If you still had obscene thoughts when facing the pure gaze of a baby, then it was definitely a kind of blasphemy to life. It was filthy to the depths of one's soul. Wang Wan had seen some people take photos of women breastfeeding their children with different thoughts. The photographer wantonly criticized the woman for doing so, and even raised it from a moral point of view. Wang Wan felt that the person who took the photos was the one who deserved to be killed the most. Other people's children cried when they were hungry, and they weren't allowed to feed the child? If you saw other people's breasts and felt that they were tempting you, then if they were to feed the child with a milk bottle, wouldn't you feel that the milk bottle was sexy? When you were filming people coveting other people's breastfeeding organs, how despicable were your actions? Did you want to imagine other people's reproductive organs according to the baby's size when they were giving birth? What in the world could be more despicable than such thoughts and actions? "Sister, where are they taking my siblings?" Xiao Bei asked as he held his sister's hand when he saw his siblings being carried away. "They're going to do a checkup. Also, the air pressure today is too low, so they might need artificial oxygen. Otherwise, they might fall sick easily. Unfortunately, Tang Dynasty didn't have this technology when you were young, although it's far from advanced now," Wang Wan replied. Xiao Bei nodded in understanding and said, "It's fine. Anyway, we're very healthy now. I heard that the first delivery room was built in Luzhou. You and my brother built it for us." "Sister, why did my brother learn so many things about children?" "Because he has many younger siblings," Wang Wan replied with a smile. "That's true. There are already 14 of them now. I'm going to visit my mother. The children are growing so slowly. Hong has just learned how to walk, but she can't speak yet." Sigh. Xiao Bei walked to another room with a regretful expression on his face. There were 2 people from the Jiang Wang clan there. Hearing that the 4 children and 2 adults were safe and sound, Li Longji was also overjoyed. He was so overjoyed that he started pacing around the house. The palace maids, eunuchs, Gao Li Shi, Empress Wang, and Wu Huifei looked at the emperor with a puzzled expression. They were also happy. After all, the health of the adults and children directly affected the mood of Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. With the appearance of new siblings, the 2 of them would definitely come up with many bad ideas that would be terrible for other countries. In other words, it would be good for Tang Dynasty. However, they could not understand why the emperor was so excited. "Your Majesty, should we send a message to Minister Zhang? Also, there's General Wang." Under Wu Huifei's signal, Gao Li Shi reminded Li Longji, who was pacing back and forth. The General Wang he mentioned was Wang Wan's father. He was currently in the capital, helping out at the secret research site of the Ministry of Works. Even though he was a general and did not know how to lead an army, he was absolutely serious when it came to defense. He knew that he was not capable enough, so he never stirred up trouble. Of course, he was not afraid of others looking for trouble. If someone really wanted to scheme against him or humiliate him, he did not even need to tell his daughter and son-in-law. The people who cooperated with the Zhang clan and Wang clan, as well as the officials from Zhenjia Academy, would take action. Naturally, no one dared to bully him. They would rather bully Zhang Zhong. Looking for trouble with Zhang Zhong was an official matter, but looking for him would make him a mortal enemy. Everyone knew that Wang Wan's father was not suited to be an official. Not to mention bullying him, even a sarcastic remark could kill him. These 2 people did not come with him. There were also 4 people from the older generation of the Zhang clan and Wang clan. They were still playing chess and chatting with their neighbors in Zhuangzi. All of them needed to be reported. Li Longji, who was pacing back and forth in the hall, stopped and said, "Yes, yes, yes. Send the report. There's no need. It's too late. They must have already sent it. I'll send a good report to the other officials. Tell them that Zhang clan and Wang clan's child was successfully born." "Yes, Your Majesty." Gao Li Shi received the order and went to the door to ask someone to send the report to the important officials of Tang. It was very important. What was important was not the first part, but the second part that made the 2 people happy. This was because the 2 people's happiness and anger were fully displayed on their faces. They gave people the feeling that they were alive, unlike other high-ranking officials who could not tell whether they were happy or sad. They also sought stability in their actions. The reason for this was that the 2 of them no longer needed to act according to the mood of others, nor did they need to act for others to see. If the 2 of them were happy, the officials would let out a sigh of relief. If they were unhappy, the entire sky of the Great Tang would seem overcast. Hence, Zhang Xiaobao ordered someone to send the news back to his family, to the merchants he had worked with, and to the officials. Gao Li Shi also sent the news to the officials with high status. At the same time, the people of Luzhou and the merchants also spread the news. In the end, the news of the birth of the 4 unnamed children spread throughout Tang in just a day. Most people bought their favorite food and set off firecrackers to celebrate as if it was the new year. After the news spread, Li Longji walked around the room again. Gao Li Shi turned around and asked in surprise, "Your Majesty, what are you?" "Li Shi, are you happy?" Li Longji slowed down and asked. "Yes." Gao Li Shi nodded. The 4 new children were Xiaobao's younger siblings. Xiaobao was his adopted son, which meant that he had more children in his family. It was especially fun to have a child like Xiaobao who always liked to stir up trouble. Children could cause trouble, but adults who were afraid of their children stirring up trouble were all incompetent people. Besides, the people Xiaobao bullied were all officials. In the future, there would be a large group of children coming to the palace to play. The palace would be lively. That's right. I'm happy as well. June, and Pan, will have younger siblings in the future. When they have younger siblings, they will naturally have a sense of responsibility. It's a pity that the children this time are too symmetrical. I reckon the Zhang family and the Wang family will be married again. Wouldn't it be better if they have a boy and a girl next year? Li Longji said excitedly. Then, he continued to walk back and forth in the room. Everyone understood now. The emperor wanted June, and Pan to marry the Zhang family and the Wang family. He was thinking about the children who had not been born yet. Chapter 1150. The babies were born, but the team couldn't go back immediately. They still had to wait for the Zhang Wang clan to finish their confinement. The 4 babies also needed time to adapt. Although babies had a higher chance of surviving in extreme environments than adults, that was overdrafting their vitality. When the telegram was sent back, Zhang Zhong and Wang Wan's father were very happy, but they couldn't come to visit in person. The two of them had been busy with the Ministry of Works, and they emphasized the safety of production and development and the safety of the guards. Similarly happy were a group of officials led by the Minister of Revenue, Wang Bei, who were unfriendly to the Zhang Wang clan. When they found out that the Zhang Wang clan's 2 pregnant women were also going to the place where the emperor was going, they were furious. It was obvious that the emperor needed to wait for the babies to be born before returning. They didn't want the emperor to go out in the first place. If it was in the past, it would be easier. Going to such a distant place was a waste of money and manpower. Moreover, important matters in the capital couldn't be reported in time. The officials would coax the emperor together. If the emperor really wanted to go out, he could only stroll around Jiangxi province. At this moment, neither of the 2 excuses were valid. The emperor didn't need the financial funds of the imperial court to go out, and he didn't even need to use the palace treasury. That damned Zhang Xiaobao took care of everything. He could be said to be rich and overbearing. He supported a team of more than 30,000 people without even frowning. There was also the supply team behind, which required at least 50,000 people. Based on the calculation that each person spent at least 100 copper coins a day, that was 5,000 strings of coins. 150,000 strings of coins a month. If there were special circumstances, they would have to pay extra. With so much money, how many merchants would be scared to death in the Great Tang? If it was in Japan, it would be more than half a year's income. This was because Japan was doing business with the Great Tang. Otherwise, Japan wouldn't be able to get 3 million strings of coins a year. They wouldn't be able to do it even if they worked themselves to death. How much did the Great Tang get in a year? However, Zhang Xiaobao didn't care. He traveled all the way, solved all kinds of hidden problems, and dealt with Japan in passing. Wang Bei really wanted to impeach Zhang Xiaobao. The reason was that Zhang Xiaobao spent so much money. Wouldn't it be better if he spent it on the people? Was 150,000 strings of coins a month a joke? Why should it be spent by Zhang Xiaobao? Halfway through the memorial, Wang Bei realized that Zhang Xiaobao was not spending the imperial court's money. He was spending his own money. That's right. He didn't know when he started to think that the money of the Zhang family and Wang family was the imperial court's money. Who asked these 2 families to always take out money to provide research for the Ministry of Works and the Sidong Temple? Who asked them to always transport things to disaster areas at the fastest speed? Who asked them to? Anyway, it's their way of doing things. They give people the impression that it's easy to get money from them to help the Great Tang. It's their fault. Yes, it's their fault. Wang Bei selectively forgot the grievances in his heart and pushed all the blame onto the Zhang family and the Wang family. Husband, who made you angry this time? While Wang Bei was struggling, his wife came in with hot soup. She heard the noise and asked with concern. It's the Zhang family and the Wang family. They came to Luzhou to give birth to a child, and they actually delayed His Majesty in the south in the name of the child. They're harming the country. The child has just been born, but he's already started to harm our dynasty. What will happen when he grows up? They're a family of villains. Wang Bei blamed the baby. When he lowered his head and saw the soup sent by his wife, he asked, "What's the soup?" "It's the flying dragon soup made of birds sent from the northern part of Hebei province. They said it's delicious and nutritious, so I made an extra bowl and sent it here," Wang Bei's wife replied. "Oh, they're kind enough to send something to my family? Didn't they stop all the benefits before?" Wang Bei sneered. "It's all because Qing is pregnant. Her body is weak, and the doctor gave her a prescription, saying that the flying dragon soup is suitable. So, the Zhang family sent this bird, saying that the political views of the adults are different, and it has nothing to do with the child. They also said that the child is never wrong. It's too despicable to put the grudge on the child, and the Zhang family and the Wang family disdain to do it." Wang Bei's wife explained that Qing was the eldest daughter-in-law, and she had been pregnant for 7 months. Wang Bei's face turned red when he heard this. Just now, he had accused the other family's child of harming the country and the people. Then, his wife gave such an answer. He felt that his face had been slapped more than 200 times. It was burning hot. Who was the gentleman and who was the villain? As a minister, Wang Bei had trained his face to be thick-skinned. He immediately calmed down and said to his wife, "Put it down. I'll think about the heavy snow again. The Ministry of Revenue is going to allocate money again, at least part of it." After his wife left, Wang Bei took a deep breath and murmured, "They want to bribe me with small favors. Forget it, I don't want to speak ill of people behind their backs." No matter how thick-skinned Wang Bei was, he knew that he was in the wrong. It was not good for him to say anything more about this matter. He carefully looked around, afraid that he would be discovered. If it was leaked, once it was reported, he would be drowned in the spittle of the people of Tang. Fortunately, the emperor was coming back, and it was a happy thing. Another thing that made the officials of the capital happy was that the first generation of diesel engines had been finalized. They had invested money in it, and there was no return yet. The first generation of diesel engines was finalized, and 10 diesel engines were produced, and they were distributed according to the streets. The back of the hand-guided tractor was modified to have many seats, and it was used to transport the officials who invested in it to and from work. The speed was not very fast, and it was slower than the speed of the carriage. It was very bumpy, and smoke was coming out of it. However, the officials who were qualified to ride it did not care. Instead, they were proud of it. The main reason was that others did not have it. No matter how smoky the tractor was when the wind was against them, it was also a symbol of status. Who cared whether they could breathe or not? They could only watch, and they did not know how it felt to sit on a tractor. Do you know how it felt to sit on a carriage that did not require a horse or a person? The smell of the smoke coming out of the carriage was so invigorating, and it made one's breath stronger, especially when the wind was against them. Even if one was rich, one would not be able to experience it. Therefore, the 10 tractors made the investing officials feel better, and they felt that the money was well spent, even if the money for the diesel engines was paid out of their dividends and investments. When Li Longji heard about this, he found Zhang Xiaobao and asked if it was possible to ride a tractor on the way back. However, he was strongly opposed by Zhang Xiaobao. "Your Majesty, it's not possible. It's winter now, and the wind is basically from the north, northwest, and northeast. If we go back, there will be many opportunities to face the wind. The carriage is too small, and the thermal insulation is not perfect. Even if we extend the exhaust pipe and put it at the back of the carriage, we will not be able to smell the exhaust. The small carriage is not comfortable. Your Majesty, this is not a good thing." Xiaobao told the truth. He would rather take a boat than a tractor. Being on a boat was not a big deal. After all, he had many yachts in the past. Even if he had an antique car, the antique car was not a tractor. It was a Rolls-Royce that was more than 200 years old. It could still drive at a speed of 100 kilometers per hour. It was a symbol of status. What was the point of driving a tractor? workers, peasants, and soldiers? Wang Wan felt that it was reasonable. She also had an old car, but she would never drive a tractor, which was a symbol of workers, peasants, and soldiers. Workers, peasants, and soldiers sounded good, but they were worthless. In a country, officials were the most respectable. Although the slogan sounded good, it was a lie to say that the working class was the leader and the workers' and peasants' alliance was the foundation. There was no democracy. It was a master-slave relationship. The simplest example was that many people in Beijing did not say that they were from Beijing. They said that they were from Suzhou City. The architecture was from the Ming Dynasty, but most people said that it was changed from the Qing Dynasty. If they were not slaves, then what were they? Of course, slaves were a positive term in the Qing Dynasty, but later on, if you called others slaves, they would definitely not be happy. If you did not believe it, you could try it. See how many people would scold you for being crazy, and how many people would directly hit you. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan knew the advantages and disadvantages of a tractor, but Li Longji did not. When he heard Zhang Xiaobao's words and saw Wang Wan's expression of agreement, he was very disappointed. "Can't I take a tractor back?" Li Longji asked one last time. "Your Majesty, tractors are most suitable for farming. Anyway, they are bumpy." "Your Majesty, do you know why they are called tractors? Because they are powered by a diesel engine, and they move forward by dragging. The shock absorption is not good, and it is not a trailer-type caravan. Can I make a better one for you in the future?" In order not to be implicated, Zhang Xiaobao had to try his best to persuade him. If it was someone else who tried to persuade him, Li Longji would definitely not believe it. However, he had to treat Xiaobao and Cuckoo seriously. After thinking for a while, Li Longji finally gave up and said, "Okay, but what is a caravan?" "Uncle Emperor, I know. It is our house. The one that was made of agarwood in the past, and now it is for my younger brother and sister to use. The one with mercury dynamic balance. It can also float on water. That is the only dynamic balance in the Tang Dynasty. Until now, there has not been a second one. My brother and sister have done a lot for us." Xiao Bei immediately followed up and gestured as he spoke. Li Longji suddenly remembered. Other people would provide their children with comfortable carriages, many people to look after them, or a large courtyard like the imperial family. However, he did not expect that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan would give their younger brothers and sisters a moving house. Moreover, that house was on land and had a mercury pressure converter under it. As long as the car could go up or down, the house would remain stable. This was the mercury dynamic balance. Until now, there had not been a second one. It was not that they could not make it, but that the investment was too big and not worth it. However, the two of them thought that it was worth it. Just like the first delivery room, Xiao Bei and the others could laugh proudly at the world just because of this. "When will our caravan appear?" Li Longji asked with jealousy. "Wait. Until the gasoline engine is perfected. Shock absorption is a problem. The 5 methods are not ideal." Zhang Xiaobao was troubled. What he meant by not ideal was that it could not reach his level, not even half of it. Which 5? Li Longji really did not know that there were so many shock absorption methods. Spring plate, shock absorption material, air pressure, and hydraulic pressure. We can only use the first 2. The third one is still in the process of being chosen. Wang Wan replied. Chapter 1151. The 10 tractors in the capital ran back and forth every day. The officials who had spent money sat in the bumpy tractors, but they were all calm. The people were not jealous. If they were jealous, they were envious of the officials. Officials could enjoy good things, but they were curious about this new thing. How could it move? They wondered if it was different from a train. In any case, the head in front of the train was very big, and the head in front of them was smaller than the head in front of the train. The rich people looked knowledgeable and said to the people around them, "This is a miniature train. Can't you see that it's smoking?" This is a great improvement in Tang's industrial technology. It's free from the constraints of the railway and will be used for transportation in the future. When the officials are done experimenting, I'll buy a few for you to see. A month passed peacefully with various small matters in Tang. After finishing her confinement, Jiang Wang clan and Liu Bei boarded the ship under the reluctance of the people in Luzhou. They set off for the capital along the coast. Xiao Bei and the other 11 children set off 3 days in advance to look for the Si Chao in Quanzhou and check his work record. The main problem was not that he wasted food. The main problem was that he was exposed. According to Xiao Bei, if the other party said something bad about others, they would tell them that there were only those who were not caught, not those who were wrongly accused. If you only wasted food, they would not punish you. However, if you made a big mistake in your work, then don't think of running away. Tang lacked many things, but it did not lack officials. Many people were waiting to fill the position. While waiting for the large group of people behind them, Xiao Bei and the others looked regretful. What's wrong? You didn't find anything wrong? Li Longji teased Xiao Bei and asked. Xiao Bei shook his head and sighed regretfully. He said, I found the problem in his work. It's easy to find an official's mistake. Did you catch him? Li Longji was not clear about the situation in Quanzhou. He was very curious. Xiao Bei shook his head again. No, he has a special understanding of the management of the warehouse, and he did a very good job. At the same time, his work efficiency is so high that it's frightening. We did some research and found that after he was removed, we need at least 5 officials to replace his workload. His warehouse losses were the least, his error rate was the smallest, his material turnover was the most flexible, and the speed of goods entering and leaving was the fastest. He had a wealth of experience in dealing with emergencies. On average, he could embezzle 5,000 strings of cash in half a year, but the method he came up with to store the materials and the coordination of the flow of materials in the warehouse saved him 60,000 strings of cash every half a year. After Li Longji finished listening to Xiao Bei's introduction, he was also stunned. What kind of person was this? He had a lot of abilities, but he also had a lot of problems. He was indeed very difficult to deal with. If they had investigated him with the intention of capturing him, they would naturally have captured him. However, Xiao Bei's group of children wouldn't go so far as to capture him for the sake of capturing him, just like the one who had made the steam engine. So you're saying that you've returned empty-handed? Li Longji asked with a smile. Xiao Bei also smiled and said, No, we have investigated the county magistrate of Quanzhou's Nan'an County. We plan to replace him and transfer him to Luoyang to be a registrar. Li Longji was stunned once again. What nonsense was this? The person who should have been investigated had not been thoroughly investigated and another person had been arrested. If there was something wrong with the arrested county magistrate, why didn't they deal with him? If there was nothing wrong with him, why did they have to remove him? It wasn't just Li Longji. Other than Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, everyone else in the cabin was confused. Empress Wang beckoned to Xiao Bei and pulled him over. She hugged him and asked, Was the county magistrate of Nan'an County corrupt or did he take bribes? None of them. He's too innocent. His family is poor, but his 3 children's bodies are still okay. His 2 elders and his 3 wives are all sallow and emaciated. His own clothes are also covered in patches. Xiao Bei replied, If that's the case, why did you remove him from his post? Empress Wang asked again. Because he's stupid. His 3 children are in good health because they are still in school. The food in school is good, while the others are poor. It's fine if his family doesn't have money, but the commoners in the county aren't doing well. That's a county very close to the port. Back then, we were in full service. Then, the quick-witted people in the county came out to earn money and didn't return. They directly settled down in Jinjiang Prefecture and invested money to build schools in their hometowns. When we found out about this situation and found him, he actually had the face to tell us that he had a clear conscience. Little Yuan said that if we were officials here, not to mention the current situation, even if this county was 10 times richer, we would still commit suicide out of shame. Who arranged for him to come here? He's too hateful. Therefore, We had a meeting to discuss it. He's more suited to stay in a prosperous place and isn't suited for development. He should go to Luoyang to be a registrar. It's a flat transfer, but he doesn't have much real power." Following Xiao Bei's words, the other children lowered their heads and sighed. Even Pan Er and her brother followed suit. In other words, you let go of someone who violated the laws of our great Tang, but stripped a county magistrate of his power who couldn't find fault with the law? Empress Wang concluded. Xiao Bei nodded gloomily. That's right. A person who made a mistake created more value. What he was greedy for was just a small amount. A person who didn't make a mistake cheated an entire county. According to the story told by my brother and sister, the officials don't fear my strictness, but fear my integrity. The people don't submit to my ability, but submit to my justice. The people don't dare to be slow on their feet, and the honest officials don't dare to bully them. The public gives rise to brightness, and the honest gives rise to prestige. This means that integrity and notarization are very important, because the people want to be rich, but their demands are boundless. The officials want to be rich, but their actions are insatiable. This means that there is no end to people's pursuit. Whether it's the people or the officials, who has less than they have and more than they have? Then what about the 100,000 collisions? Desire is boundless, so fairness and integrity are the most important. Following this, we should thoroughly investigate the official, demote him, and praise the county magistrate. That's because there is no definition of wealth. Only when you compare yourself with others can you know whether you are rich or poor, right? Everyone nodded. Xiao Bei's grandfather, maternal grandfather, Wang Ju, was so shocked that he sucked in a cold breath. What kind of knowledge was this? His own family's child could actually be so arrogant? If this spread out, how many scholars in the world would blush with shame? Wang Ju took a few deep breaths and asked his maternal granddaughter, "Then why did you still take care of the county magistrate behind us?" "That's right, why?" Xiao Bei repeated and said, "Because, there is another saying, when the country is rich, the people come from afar. When the land is expanded, the people stay. When the granary is solid, etiquette is known. When the food and clothing are sufficient, honor and disgrace is known. You are an official, you are honest and fair. This is your own matter. If the people's lives are not good, they will only submit to you. Will the officials submit to you? If they submit to you, they will not know etiquette. If they submit to you, they will not know honor and disgrace. In fact, this is not wrong. The problem is that you are not Uncle Emperor. Uncle Emperor is fair and honest, but you are a county magistrate. Your parents are officials, and your children are starving to death. What are you? What are you? What are you? You watched your children cry piteously for food, starve to death. Do you dare to pat your chest and say that you have a clear conscience? He also said that the world was bustling with activity, all for profit. The world was bustling with activity, all for profit. Everyone wanted to live a good life. At least they had clothes to wear and food to eat. It was very difficult to make them rebel. We had a day of meetings for this matter. In the end, we came up with a reason. It is not wrong to be fair and honest, but it must be on the basis that the people have enough to eat and wear. Since the two cannot coexist in Chuanzhou, we can only choose the survival instinct of human nature. Thus, we came to the conclusion that we should warn the officials and transfer the county magistrate. We were also helpless, but we decided to do this because we have a clear conscience. Piak, 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 piak. At this moment, applause sounded. Even the eunuchs and palace maids clapped. The other children lowered their heads in embarrassment, but Xiao Bei held her fist and bowed modestly. She had a diplomatic personality. Ha ha ha. Li Longji laughed heartily and praised. Good, you are indeed worthy of being my Tang dynasty's inspector. Even if you are unwilling in your heart, you are willing to take the people of Tang as your root. I will not say right or wrong. I only recognize the result. Transfer the county magistrate away. Chapter 1152. On the second day after Li Longji returned to the capital, a large court meeting was held. All the fifth-rank officials in the capital had to line up at Hanyuan Hall. Light snow was still falling, but there was no snow under the steps of Hanyuan Hall. The snow that had fallen before had long been cleared out. There were even hot water pipes under the steps, which was geothermal. It was a benefit for officials. The officials had been very busy recently. There were many things to do at the end of the year. After this period, it would be the New Year holiday in a few days. They could spend the New Year with their families. The busiest person in the crowd was the Minister of Revenue, Wang Bei. In the past half a month, he had already worked 6 extra nights at the Ministry of Revenue. He was always busy until dawn, so naturally, he couldn't go home. He had lost a few kilograms, but his spirit was good. He had money now. Except for the last month, which needed to be calculated in January of next year, all the tax data for the first half of the year had been sorted out. Wang Qing, have you calculated the taxes for the 11th month of this year? Li Longji had just arrived at Hanyuan Palace Hall and had just sat down when he impatiently asked about the money. Wang Bei glanced at Zhang Zhong beside him. He was in a good mood. He thought that the emperor would ask about the Ministry of Works first, but he didn't expect that he would ask about his own Ministry of Revenue. Money was really important. Zhang Zhong glanced at Wang Bei from the corner of his eyes, but didn't respond. Money was nothing. Don't mention money to me. It's meaningless. Wang Bei clearly felt Zhang Zhong's contempt. He secretly cursed, "I'll make you lose all your business tomorrow." Then he stepped out of the line. He was holding a ceremonial tablet in his hand. It was different from the original rectangular one. It was 1 foot long and 1 foot wide. There was a clip on one end and a small slot on the far right. A pencil was stuck in the slot, and under the pencil was a piece of rubber. On top of the ceremonial tablet was a piece of paper. It was actually a clamp board for office use. It kept pace with the times and was not as inconvenient as before. Your Majesty, according to the statistics of the Ministry of Revenue, the total tax collected in the first 11 months of this year was 369,622 strings of coins and 400 strings of coins. The expenditure in the first 11 months was 106 million strings of coins. As of yesterday, the Treasury had a total of 367,792,150 strings of coins and 316 copper coins. After Wang Bei finished reading from the book, he puffed out his chest and raised his head, as if he was the one who earned the money. The eyes of all the civil and military officials lit up. Wang Bei glanced at Zhang Zhong proudly. He could estimate the annual income of the Zhang family and the Wang family. Unless the other party evaded taxes, it would be clear to calculate based on the taxes they paid. The income of the Zhang family and the Wang family this year was 4 million strings less than last year. The only thing that could not be accounted for was the precious candy house, which was a tax-free industry. The other thing that could not be accounted for was the income of the Great Tang Private Bank. The Great Tang Private Bank was owned by the emperor, and it was also taxed. However, the tax was not accurately reported, and the difference in interest rates between the reporting of losses and the collection of payments had to be deducted. Obviously, there was a lot of money involved, and it was His Majesty who ordered it. How could anyone know how much money His Majesty had? Furthermore, there were many expenses that could not be accounted for, such as the cost of espionage. Which official was qualified to know how much the emperor had spent on his espionage system? The Zhang family and the Wang family were probably hiding the same thing, but just like His Majesty, there was no way to investigate. This was because Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had sent many spies abroad, and they could not afford to spend less. But no matter what, the normal tax return was indeed lower than last year. It was just that they had not found the time to investigate why. Zhang Zhong still ignored Wang Bei. He could guess what Wang Bei was thinking. Wasn't it just that the income today was lower? That was right. Otherwise, the Great Tang would not have so much money. A portion of the family's money was used to expand the private army, especially in the area of weapons. Whether it was the improvement of weapons or the consumption of ammunition, They were all money. After all, they were going to war, so they had to have more reserves. Seated not too far away, Li Longji saw Wang Bei's actions, but he didn't care. The main reason was that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't care. All right, our court will be able to do many things next year. All departments, calculate the budget for your work so that we can allocate more money. In a good mood, Li Longji began to distribute the money. Your Majesty, there's something that this subject doesn't understand. Why is our tax return double compared to last year? A young general from the Bureau of Military Personnel, who used to be a border guard and had only been promoted last month due to his outstanding performance in the military sandbox examination, mustered up his courage and stood up to ask. A few days ago, he heard from others that last year's income was 130 million strings of cash, and he knew that it was easy for the sudden increase in income to become worthless. For the sake of his brothers in the military, he had to ask. As soon as he spoke, he realized that the entire Hanyuan palace was silent, and he couldn't help but feel even more worried. After a few moments of silence, Li Longji looked at the officials below and softly sighed. He turned on the microphone and said to Zhang Jiuling, "Official Zhang, you speak." Zhang Jiuling's expression was very unnatural. Back then, his family was in Guangzhou, and that place produced preserved vegetables. His family had also been involved in the business, and in the first half of the year, the officials still had the income from the land as their salary. Now that he had handed over the land, he naturally had less of an excuse to sell his family's produce. However, his family's business didn't stop, and they continued to sell preserved vegetables, earning quite a bit of money. Now that His Majesty had called out his name, Zhang Jiuling had no choice but to stand up. He looked at the faces of the other officials, and they all lowered their heads and entered a meditative state. Yang Zuofeng, this matter is very simple. Zhang Jiuling loudly said to the military official who had asked the question. This person was surnamed Yang, a member of the Imperial Guard of the Left. He used to be in the Thousand Bull Manor, and the authority of this official had been very small for a period of time. Now that the military service system had been changed and the Great Tang's economic strength had increased, more military power was required to maintain this position. The military official surnamed Yang said nothing, continuing to listen attentively. Listen to me one by one. Zhang Jiuling took a deep breath and organized his words. Last year, the tax rate of our dynasty was set low, and the official salary was more based on the output of the land. This year, His Majesty was wise and went out to inspect the land road construction. Along the way, he heard the advice of a capable official and changed the tax rate of our dynasty and the official salary. As for the tax, the commercial side has increased by nearly 5 times. During the trial period, there are not too many people who are willing to pay the tax. In addition, the officials are getting their salaries. While they spend their money, they also promote the flow of goods and materials, which forms a part of the tax. Therefore, our dynasty's revenue has increased. Furthermore, after many years of hard work, the agriculture temple has distributed a large number of crop seeds this spring, and the output of the land has increased significantly. This year, there are no major events around the dynasty, and the people are living in peace. The livestock production has also increased. Zhang Jiuling forced himself to finish his words and kept wiping his sweat. The military official surnamed Yang raised his head and rolled his eyes. He thought for a while and nodded, admitting that this would increase the tax rate. When all the merchants in Great Tang agreed, it wouldn't be a problem to double the tax rate. Oh, I know, but I don't know which capable official it is. Can he make a decision in the court? What if he goes on a business trip? The military official surnamed Yang was serious. Who would be so awesome as to directly influence His Majesty's decisions? Zhang Jiuling glared at him. General Yang, who do you think it is? Oh, I am not too sure. I won't ask. The person who came up with this plan is truly capable. Your Majesty is wise. The military official surnamed Yang guessed who it was in just a few breaths' time. He was clearly not confident enough. You know how to be afraid of the contempt of all the officials? Li Longji didn't mention the names of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. In any case, officials of a certain rank would know who could easily influence Great Tang's decisions. Next topic. Li Longji leaned back and waited. He didn't feel comfortable with the increased tax rate. He was exchanging benefits. The railways in the country hadn't been fully connected yet, and the trains hadn't been fully delivered yet. The carriages for the steam engines had already been distributed, and the salaries of the officials were more than 2 times higher than the current income of the farmland. If not for Xiao Bao's astounding calculations, which would change the railway transportation system and make the land more valuable, I would have been angered to death this time. Li Longji thought as he looked at the officials in the court with an unfriendly gaze. How many officials didn't have private property? When it came to disaster relief, no one was willing to fork out money. But when it came to investing in the Ministry of Works, there was already money. This was especially so after the tractor carried the investment officials around the streets of the capital. Why weren't you all so enthusiastic when the national treasury was low? In Xiao Bao's words, it was because your table manners were too unsightly. It's good that you all took out 100 strings of coins to pretend that I can't deal with you all. Why don't you all invest? I'll get Xiao Bao to deal with you all. While Li Longji was thinking about how to take revenge on the officials, the topics in the court were passed one after another without any hindrance. The national treasury was rich, and many of the topics were about money. The wealthy Li Longji felt that any problem that could be solved with money wasn't a problem at all. When it was almost noon, Li Longji realized something. No one mentioned anything about Great Tang's infrastructure. There was a solution for the railways, but what about the roads? It wasn't a good thing to have too much spare money in the national treasury. It would depreciate. Thus, he looked at Zhang Zhong and asked, Minister Zhang, does the Ministry of Works have any topics to discuss? Zhang Zhong shook his head and said, Your Majesty, the Ministry of Works doesn't lack money now. The Ministry of Works has produced many new chemical products. Other than the research costs, we still have some surplus. For example, soap, toothpaste, fertilizer, and kerosene lamps are selling well. There are also candles and shoes with rubber soles. As he spoke, Zhang Zhong finally looked at Wang Bei. Last year, the Ministry of Works needed money for its research and was severely hindered by the Ministry of Revenue. His son and daughter-in-law were furious and took revenge on the other party. However, in the end, it was better to rely on oneself than to rely on others. According to his son, their technology wasn't good enough, so they could only use the local method to produce. It wasted a lot of resources and caused a lot of pollution. However, during special times, they had to treat it differently. Wang Bei lowered his head and looked at the document. He was very engrossed and didn't know what good story was written in it. What about the roads and infrastructure? Li Longji ignored the conflict between the officials and asked about the things he wanted to know the most. As for the roads, this official is still waiting for the officials to report. Once the reports are completed, this official can withdraw the funds from the Ministry of Revenue. The Ministry of Revenue will review the funds and then allocate the funds through the Great Tang Bank. Zhang Zhong answered truthfully. Li Longji nodded. Yes, the money needed to be paid by the Ministry of Revenue or by him or the head of the Secretariat. Although it was said that the Ministry of Works should be in charge, the Ministry of Works didn't have any real authority in the area of infrastructure. The Ministry of Revenue could bypass the Ministry of Works and directly negotiate with the local officials about the allocation of funds. Of course, the Ministry of Works could also bypass the Ministry of Revenue and directly allocate funds to the local construction management department. This was because the Ministry of Works had its own money. It was just that Zhang Zhong didn't allocate the funds. Li Longji's expression became serious as he said to Wang Bei, Next year should be a special year for transportation. We don't want to see key supplies blocked because of money. This official understands, Wang Bei replied loudly. In his heart, he looked down on Zhang Zhong even more. The other party was too immoral to point him out and let the emperor give him a warning. Chapter 1153. After the court session, I will send a report to the officials in charge of construction and order them to send over the documents required by the local government. I will definitely lead the officials of the Ministry of Revenue to examine them carefully. After Wang Ku agreed, he added another sentence. The other officials understood what Wang Bei meant. He wanted his subordinates to ask for money directly from the Ministry of Revenue. When it came to construction, the Ministry of Revenue could intervene. The environment was different, so the price of the materials for building bridges and paving roads was naturally different. It was difficult to determine how much a cart of stones was worth. The most reasonable price for the Tang Dynasty was naturally the Zhengjing construction group of the Zhang family and the Wang family. However, it was unable to monopolize all the businesses. At the same time, because it was too reasonable, some people did not intend to use it. If the price was reasonable, there would be no extra money to bribe. Thinking that Wang Bei could gain many benefits from this, some of the officials started to get jealous. The main reason was that the money invested in the new group of Ministry of Works had been lost this year. The only gain was sitting in a very bumpy car during work and off work. Zhang Zhong had taken out the accounts for them to look at. The records were very clear. The sales were good, especially for toothpaste and soap. Besides being in charge of sales, the group was also in charge of research and development. The problem was research and development. The group did not research and develop the toothpaste and soap that they sold. Instead, they bought the products from another department of the Ministry of Works. The purchase price was very high. The reason was that the development of toothpaste and soap had cost a lot. The new group did not research the products that they sold. Instead, they researched the application technology of diesel engines, such as tractors and generators. At night, all the roads in the capital had electric lights. This technology was first bought from the Ministry of Works and then redesigned to consume less diesel. However, after generating electricity, they did not earn money. This was because the new group did not produce diesel engines and did not have diesel, let alone electric wires and lights. They had to buy them. Thus, another problem arose. Who would pay for the lighting of the various roads in Chong and at night? They did not care about the people walking on the road, nor the shops along the road. They could only pay for it. The finance took out money for the new group. The new group calculated the price of each kilowatt-hour of electricity and bought the electricity meters made by the Ministry of Works. They installed them for the rich families free of charge. Otherwise, they would not use them. It all seemed quite reasonable. After the calculation of the electricity price was done, there was a problem when it was used. The generator had to continuously generate electricity, but the electricity it generated was not always used. This resulted in a situation where the supply exceeded the demand, and the generator lost money. In a situation where investment and output were not proportional, the money spent on selling toothpaste, soap, and rubber-soled shoes was made up to maintain a balance. This was the result of the Ministry of Works kindly leasing the power grid. When the new group laid the power grid, they did not have enough money to buy the wires from the Ministry of Works, so they could only borrow money from the Tang Bank. Now, the new group's power generation plant and power grid were leased to the Ministry of Works. The money received and the profits from selling other products could be used to repay the loan from the bank. The only consolation was that they had a car to take to and from work. The officials who did not understand the details still followed the trend and invested money. Even those who had invested money before had no choice but to continue to invest money. Investing money could still maintain the operation of the group and wait for the day when they earned money to receive dividends. If they did not invest, they would go bankrupt. It was equivalent to drinking poison to quench thirst. Everyone was not rich, so they were naturally jealous of Wang Bei's intervention in the construction of the local fortifications. They all started to plan how to get benefits from this. Li Longji, who was sitting at the top, also knew about the little schemes of the officials below, but he could not do anything about it. He looked at Zhang Zhong and wanted to see if Zhang Zhong would object. The others who were with Wang Bei were worried that Zhang Zhong would seize power, so they watched Zhang Zhong with Li Longji. Unexpectedly, Zhang Zhong actually nodded and agreed. That's fine. Minister Wang will lead the colleagues in the Ministry of Revenue to work hard. A small portion of people were relieved, but the majority were puzzled. Was Zhang Zhong stupid? Didn't his son, Zhang Xiaobao, tell him about the inner workings? You really agreed? Wang Bei couldn't believe that things would go so smoothly, so he asked in surprise. Of course. Oh, speaking of repairing bridges and roads, I just thought of something. My Ministry of Works has recently come up with a new model. According to the different environments, there are different inspection methods and construction materials used. If it's hot, we'll use cement, and if it's cold, we'll use asphalt. Each region can purchase the materials from the Ministry of Works, and we'll examine them according to the actual conditions of the ground. Zhang Zhong said seriously. Ah! Wang Bei exclaimed in surprise. If they followed Zhang Zhong's words, they would not be able to cut corners once they were examined. With the Ministry of Works keeping an eye on them, who would dare to do such a thing? Can't we not use cement and asphalt? Sure, but the ratio of service life to price has to be similar to that of cement and asphalt. Let me tell Your Majesty a piece of good news. This year, my Ministry of Works has produced more than 3,000 diesel engines, and under the guidance of Regional Governor Zhang and Deputy Regional Governor Wang, we've turned them into small road rollers. Zhang Zhong still had a serious expression on his face. Wang Bei faintly felt that something was wrong. He swallowed and said, "The road rollers are used to flatten the road?" Minister Wang is indeed amazing. You guessed correctly. Zhang Zhong raised his thumb and gestured at Wang Bei. This road roller is easy to use. It uses iron rollers as the wheels. Due to the problem with the diesel engine's power, it can't be made too big. However, it's definitely not a problem to flatten a normal road. For example, if there are layers of stones and sand, it's too strenuous to push the rollers with human and animal strength. Once the road roller goes up, the road will be flat. For example, one section of the road is not made of good stones, and the other section is made of good stones. After the road roller goes over, you can see that the road is uneven. It's very interesting. Interesting. This is a good thing. Li Longji praised. Wang Bei was dumbfounded. If they were to do it according to Zhang Zhong's words, how could they cut corners? Normally, when they were building roads, they could just put some crop stalks under the sand. It was impossible to flatten it with human strength, but once the road roller went up, a large part of the road would be dented. Minister Zhang, is the cost of using the road roller very high? I'm afraid that the place can't afford to use it. Wang Bei wanted to stop it. It's free. There's too much oil produced this year. There's almost no place to put diesel, gasoline, asphalt, and so on. Because it's not easy to store liquefied gas, it's used to generate electricity when it's produced. It's just nice that it's connected to the power grid. Zhang Zhong said to Li Longji with a smile. Wang Bei's eyes widened. He angrily asked, since there's no place to put diesel, why is it so expensive to sell it to our new group? Because the production cost is high. Zhang Zhong stopped smiling and answered honestly. Since the production cost is high, why are you giving the road roller to others for free? Wang Bei asked again. Because it can't be put down. Zhang Zhong explained. Wang Bei blinked. If it can't be put down, why not let the new group use it for free? That's a commercial action. A commercial action considers cost and profit. It's the Ministry of Works' function to provide for infrastructure construction. It considers the people's livelihood. If there's a fee, it should be paid by the government. Then, it should be supplemented by the tax revenue generated by the increase in trade. The problem is your Ministry of Revenue giving my Ministry of Works money? Actually, I'm sacrificing a department's income to promote long-term tax revenue for your Ministry of Revenue. This is the contribution of the entire Ministry of Works officials, technicians, and production staff. When Zhang Zhong spoke, he raised his head 45 degrees to look at the sky. His expression was so heroic, so great, and so touching. Then let me ask. You all have been contributing. Where did your money come from? Wang Bei did not think that Zhang Zhong's Ministry of Work staff were wronged at all. Burning newspapers at the grave. That was a lie. Zhang Zhong raised his sleeve and wiped his eyes. He lowered his head and said softly, "We're working with other commercial groups. Not everyone can use electric lights. Candles and kerosene lamps are much simpler. As for paraffin, you can't do without it. As long as oil is processed, it will appear. It's very annoying, so we just make it and sell it." In other words, your Ministry of Works and the commercial group you're working with have been making money. Why is it that the group we invested in has no money to make and is always on the verge of losing money? We have no choice but to continue investing in order to not let it go bankrupt. You just said that your liquefied gas power generation is connected to the power grid. Is that the power grid of our group? Did you give us dividends for the money you sold? If I remember correctly, the new group is the first industry that your son participated in that lost money, right? Your Majesty, your investment has also gone down the drain. Wang Bei finally caught Zhang Zhong's weakness. As the emperor had taken out the most money, he had to mention it. Li Longji waved his hand indifferently. "I don't care." Wang Bei was speechless. He could only stare at Zhang Zhong. Zhang Zhong sighed and said, "Yes, it means that my son Xiao Bao is not completely invincible. There are times when he fails. The group's losses are accounted for. I didn't embezzle. The power grid is rented by the Ministry of Works. The liquefied gas power generation is not collected from the grid. Moreover, it is connected to the grid, but it doesn't directly generate profits from electricity. Instead, the Ministry of Works continues to invest in the capital to improve the power grid. Perhaps this year's Spring Festival will see results. I can prove that Minister Zhang is right." Li Bai, the director of the Ministry of Revenue, stepped forward and agreed. He had just been promoted a month ago. He was 5th rank and could stand in court. Even though he was busy with work, he still persisted in publishing a book of poetry and made a lot of money. "You go to the side." Wang Bei glared at the immortal poet and asked Zhang Zhong, "Since it can't make money, why did the Ministry of Works connect the liquefied gas power generation to the grid? Where did the electricity go? We have so much liquefied gas that we can't use it all up. Of course we have to use it to generate electricity. We also sell some of it to people who don't like to burn firewood, coal, and methane. We can't sell the electricity, so we use it to pump water. We built a big reservoir on the mountain in the eastern suburbs of the capital. There used to be only a few streams there, but now it has become a lake." Zhang Zhong pointed to the east and explained to Wang Bei. He then turned to Li Longji and said, "Your Majesty, with that artificial lake, we can generate some electricity when there is no electricity. When there is a shortage of water, we can use the water to irrigate. It is winter now and there is ice on the surface. Many people go there to skate. Plus we have fish, so the income is not bad." "Good, very good. We don't waste resources," Li Longji praised. Wang Bei couldn't take it anymore. He raised his voice and asked, "Minister Zhang, you are using the power grid to make money. Why do you say that there is no profit? Where are the dividends of the group? When we make money, we also spend money. We break even," Zhang Zhong replied confidently. "How do you spend the money?" Wang Bei asked again. "You need land to build the lake, but you don't need to spend money on the land?" Zhang Zhong asked back. "Who owns that land?" Wang Bei asked again. "The Ministry of Works." Zhang Zhong's voice wasn't soft either. "Your Ministry of Works rented the power grid of the group to generate electricity and built the lake on the mountain of the Ministry of Works. How can you lose the money you earned?" Wang Bei looked around and waited for the officials who had also invested money to agree. The Ministry of Works paid rent to rent the power grid. The Ministry of Works rented the mountain of the Ministry of Works independently. Didn't the Ministry of Works pay for the technology of the new group? Since they paid, why didn't the Ministry of Works rent the other Ministry of Works? "I break even. I have accounts." Zhang Zhong didn't wait for the others to speak before he replied. "But what about the subsequent profits?" "That is the business of the other Ministry of Works. What does it have to do with your new group?" He. Master Wang, forget it. We can't win against them. Their son is Zhang Xiaobao, an existence that is above the list of billionaires. Just like what you said just now, other than the losses of the new group, have you ever seen him lose money? Someone beside him pulled Wang Bei and persuaded him softly. Wang Bei's eyes were red. He pursed his lips and said with grievance, "Didn't Zhang Xiaobao say that he wouldn't play tricks on the people of Tang Dynasty? There are so many people overseas. Why do you have to bully us?" He said that he wouldn't play tricks on the people. How did we stop the Ministry of Works? We forced Zhang Zhong to not be able to eat well and sleep well. Xiao Bei and the group of children retaliated at that time. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't move. They were waiting for this moment. Sai, who said that the two of them had become kind. The person who persuaded him also had a sad expression. Li Longji, who was sitting there, also felt that Wang Bei and the others were quite pitiful. He sighed and said to Zhang Zhong, "Are there a lot of fish in the lake? It's the new year. You should eat and play, right?" Zhang Zhong understood and quickly said, "That's right. Other than the fish, there are also freshwater crabs. They are all made into drunken crabs. Minister Wang, I will send 500 pounds of crabs to your family first. I will also give you 1,000 ice skating coupons. It's free and you can play as much as you want. Next year, we will continue to work hard and make the group as profitable as possible. What do you think? Didn't the Ministry of Work say that there are electric heaters? It's colder this year." Wang Bei knew that it was useless to force them, so he could only settle for the next best thing. "Yes, each family will be given 10 of them first. The electricity will be waived. Consider it a bonus." Zhang Zhong agreed. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.